Life Simulator. Listen to bro, cultivation leads to certain death. Chapter 91. I'm strong, damn it. How could this happen? Why did Li Bian die in his hands? Zhao Chuer's mentality collapsed. From the moment she saw Li Bian appear, she knew that she had to escape and must not fight. She didn't know what method Duan Ming used to kill Li Bian. He might be hiding his strength, or he might have another helper. In short, Zhao Chuer did not show any curiosity at all. Everything was based on saving her life as the top priority. Escaping was the most important thing. However, just as she was running away, she heard hurried footsteps behind her, followed by Duan Ming's slightly arrogant voice. Fourth Master, why are you running so fast? Stop, I promise to chop you to death. Look at what he said, he's too lazy to even lie. Generally speaking, it should mean ensuring that their lives are not harmed. Unfortunately, at this moment, Duan Ming was completely unscrupulous. He was as crazy as a hungry wolf and kept chasing Zhao Chuer without giving up. Because of this, Zhao Chuer's heart couldn't help but skip a beat and her pace became faster. She could see that Duan Ming definitely had hidden strength, at least he had to be at the 7th level of Qi refining, otherwise he would not have been able to catch up with her. Although Qi refining 7th Dan is still not as good as Zhao Chuer, she still doesn't dare to take the risk of trying a fight. After all, Li Bian is a lesson learned from the past, and who knows what other hidden tricks the other party may have. Master Duan, what do you mean by this? Why are you chasing me so closely? Do you want to kill your fellow disciples? Aren't you afraid that Master will blame you? After running for a long distance, Zhao Chuer still couldn't get rid of Duan Ming. In a panic, she had to bring out Fang Lang to control the situation. But she herself knew that the hope of a ceasefire was not great, and she just simply hoped to influence the other side a little. My third uncle died in my hands. Do you think I would still worry about being blamed by my master? To be honest, this hunt is. You're undercover, right? Before Duan Ming finished speaking, Zhao Chuer couldn't help but interrupt him and expressed her guess. I have to admit that her guess was not wrong, but there was just a slight deviation. Duan Ming himself was too lazy to explain this. Instead, he took advantage of the moment when Zhao Chuer was talking and immediately used the golden sword, breaking evil, to try to kill her. The next second, a golden lightsaber appeared in the air, shining brightly, followed by a streak of light passing by. Zhao Chuer only felt the murderous aura behind her. In an instant, she had to slow down, put her palms together, and shouted loudly. A huge green shield appeared out of thin air and blocked behind her. Ding! The deafening explosion resounded throughout the heavens and earth. The golden sword and the green shield collided with each other, and then dissipated at the same time, turning into starlight. Lingyun Sect, are you an undercover agent of Lingyun Sect? After seeing the golden sword, Zhao Chuer immediately had a guess in her mind and concluded that Duan Ming had been instigated by Lingyun Sect, otherwise he would not have been able to learn such a skill. For a moment, her heart was filled with complicated feelings and her expression was hesitant. She seemed to want to say something, but after struggling, she finally chose to shut up and continued to run away. In this way, the two of them, one chasing and the other fleeing, fought constantly during the period, but neither could do anything to the other. Duan Ming couldn't keep Zhao Chuer, and Zhao Chuer couldn't get rid of Duan Ming. The situation remained at a stalemate without any progress. If the situation continues to develop in this way, the battle will be declared over with Zhao Chuer escaping back to the camp. By that time, Duan Ming would be in big trouble. After all, the other disciples of the Broken Soul sect didn't know that he acted on Fang Lang's orders, and they would most likely choose to help Zhao Chuer. However, no one knew why, perhaps because she was in a panic or because she had other plans, but Zhao Chuer, who could have escaped back to the camp, chose another direction. No one knew what her plan was. However, Duan Ming didn't have to wait too long for the answer. After chasing for nearly 5 minutes, he could see two blurry figures in the distance in front of him, and he had a sense of déjà vu. The plan has changed. I must activate the summoning array immediately and stop him. On the other side, Zhao Chuer was overjoyed and shouted anxiously, obviously knowing these two people. In an instant, Duan Ming realized that they should be the other two girls who had performed sexual intercourse on him in the simulation. For a moment, he hesitated and wanted to retreat. After all, he was not completely sure that he could fight 3 enemies at once and win. However, the next second, Zhao Chuer's actions made him give up this idea. Zhao Chuer quickly came to the two of them, and after saying a few words, she chose to continue running away without looking back, with no intention of joining forces against the enemy. Although he didn't hear clearly what Zhao Chuer said, the situation was very clear. Duan Ming only needed to fight two enemies at the same time. Yes, you can give it a try. Relying on the two corpse puppets around him and his magical skills that are much richer than before, Duan Ming gritted his teeth and stopped hesitating. He decided to bite the bullet and give it a try. After all, the villain's biggest advantage is, he will never give up easily. The next second, Duan Ming immediately ordered Chou Bao and Li Bian to rush forward, with one corpse holding another. He paused for a moment, raised his hand again, and made the starting move of Golden Sword, breaking evil. In an instant, golden light filled the ground, and a stream of light rushed towards one of the women at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Immediately afterwards, there was a whoosh sound, and the woman who was targeted had her arm chopped off and fell to the ground in pain. For a moment, Duan Ming was somewhat dazed, looking at everything in front of him in disbelief, so weak. In fact, the two women were not weak in strength, and like Duan Ming, they were at the 7th level of qi refining. The reason why he was seriously injured by the blow was simply because the golden sword technique was too powerful and could not be blocked by ordinary cultivators. After all, it was the unique skill of the head of Lingyun sect, not a martial arts technique bought from a roadside stall. How could it not even cut off an arm? Of course, there are many other reasons worth mentioning. For example, cultivators in the qi refining stage usually compete in physical fitness and master very few spells. After all, practicing martial arts is not something that can be effective overnight, so the strength and weakness can be determined almost immediately after they make a move. However, due to the simulator, Duan Ming mastered the 9 Nether Corpse refining technique, Maggot and Fly Corpse Sea Sword, Golden Light Sword, and other skills in a very short period of time. Therefore, he had already left the cultivators of the same level far behind and was ahead by a large margin. But before that, the people he met were always perverts, such as Wang Fa, Zhang Feng, Fang Lang, and the 5 talented uncles. This also led to Duan Ming not having an accurate understanding of his own strength, and he was not sure how strong he was or which tier he belonged to. In fact, he could say without hesitation, when fighting against opponents of the same level, I am invincible. Chapter 92, Invincible at the same level. Experiencing the thrill of overwhelming others with force for the first time, Duan Ming's confidence increased rapidly. This was the first time he had encountered such an easy battle. It felt like the sky was revealed after the clouds had parted. In an instant, the world seemed much wider. So, I played qi refining 7th Dan like it was a piece of cake. Fortunately, I was so cautious before. Duan Ming muttered as he took out spirit weapon, corpse cutter, and held it tightly in his hand. However, he did not rush to take action. Instead, he watched coldly, silently watching Chou Bao and Li Bian attack the two women fiercely. I have to say, Chou Bao is very strong. I don't know why, but it has obviously not been upgraded, but it can still suppress and beat the opponent. Even Duan Ming felt that there was no need for him to take action personally, as Chou Bao would be able to resolve the battle in a short time. As for the other side, the new corpse puppet Li Bian was unexpected. Since it does not have intelligence like Chou Bao and does not have independent thoughts, it is unable to use the moves learned before birth and can only fight the enemy with its physical body. However, Li Bian's strength did not rely on his physical body, which resulted in a corpse puppet of the 8th stage of qi refining being able to only tie with a cultivator of the 7th stage of qi refining, making it difficult to determine the winner. Of course, at least from this point it can be seen that Chou Bao's body is probably stronger than qi refining 7th stage, and its only weakness is that it does not know any spells, otherwise it would be enough to become a powerful warrior on its own. It seems that it can only be regarded as a consumable and is not worth cultivating. The so-called it naturally refers to Li Bian. Duan Ming had figured it out. Picking up this stinky treasure must have used up all his luck in life, which was really against the will of heaven. Therefore, he really couldn't ask for more. It was not easy for Li Bian to perform at such a level, and he could just make do with it. After having a clear idea in his mind, Duan Ming did not waste any more time. He picked up his sword and walked into the battlefield, then swung it lightly. Suddenly, afterimages appeared, and 9 Duan Mings instantly appeared on the battlefield. Starting from the center, they spread out in all directions and instantly surrounded the woman whose arm had been broken. Then, all the Duan Mings raised their swords in unison and rushed towards the woman fiercely. For a moment, it was an all-round attack with no blind spots, and there was no way to hide. 9 ghostly afterimages flashed by at the same time and approached the woman. without any surprise, the next second, her neck was cut. She had no power to resist at all and was as weak as a chicken being slaughtered. The residual image dissipated, and Duan Ming's true body reappeared, standing alone in front of the corpse, with a cold expression and silence. No one knew what he was thinking, or maybe he was simply surprised by his own strength. This move is Golden Sword Shadow Shatter. In fact, even without using martial arts, it is easy to strangulate the enemy without much effort. It's just that Duan Ming wanted to hone his practical combat skills. After all, he had never used this move in battle before, so he must experience the effect himself. Therefore, unfortunately, this woman whose name is unknown has become a whetstone and a test subject. Weak, really, weak. It would have been fine if he had just killed the opponent, but Duan Ming was still muttering and belittling his opponent, but what he said was true. An opponent who couldn't even take one move could only be described as a weakling. No, her realm is the same as mine, and the difference in body is not that big either. The only difference is in the technique. While talking to himself, Duan Ming realized the problem. This was the first time in his life that he realized the importance of martial arts. It is no exaggeration to say that unless the realm gap is of a crushing level, in many cases, one can completely rely on martial arts to make up for the gap between the two sides, or even surpass them. Just like the current situation, although they are at the same level, the opponent has no power to fight back in front of Duan Ming. From this, it can be seen that Duan Ming, who has mastered several martial arts, is no longer the young man who had to try his best to win against blacksmith and hunter. While Duan Ming was deep in thought, Chou Bao and Li Bian were not idle. They had joined forces to force another female cultivator into a desperate situation. The two corpse puppets cannot be killed, are not afraid of pain, and their bodies are stiff, making it difficult to cause any substantial damage to them. Therefore, in less than a minute, the female monk who did not have much magical power was beaten to the point of doubting her life and regretting being born. Master, please stop. I am willing to tell you all the information about Zhao Chuer, just let me live. Under the pressure of life and death, the female monk hated Zhao Chuer to the core. She never imagined that in less than 3 minutes, she would be on the verge of death. And all this was caused by Zhao Chuer, and she had already escaped, leaving her companions as scapegoats. Stop. Duan Ming scolded softly, and the next second Chou Bao and Li Bian obeyed him obediently, stepped aside, and no longer showed any aggressive behavior. The information had better be useful, otherwise you should know the consequences. At this time, 3 minutes had passed since Zhao Chuer escaped. It was almost impossible and unrealistic to catch up with her. After all, he couldn't catch up before, and now he has wasted some time, so he has basically missed the opportunity to rob and kill the other party. Therefore, Duan Ming had nothing to worry about and immediately ordered his men to stop, hoping to obtain some useful information from the captives. At least, we have to know where they are staying. I understand. Thank you for not killing me, sir. I'm willing to tell you anything, I just ask for a chance to live. At this moment, the female monk was in an extremely embarrassing situation. Her originally beautiful face had been beaten several times by Chou Bao and Li Bian, and it basically looked like a failed plastic surgery. The mouth is crooked, the front teeth are missing, the nose is collapsed, and the most exaggerated thing is, there is a big bump on the forehead, which is bulging and looks like a birthday star. Duan Ming showed no mercy at all, and threatened coldly, stop talking nonsense and tell me everything you know. I will decide whether to kill you or not. In fact, having said this, anyone could tell that this female cultivator was definitely not going to survive, and Duan Ming was just squeezing out the last bit of value from her. It's just that bystanders see things more clearly than those involved. Especially under the pressure of life and death, she just wants to do her best to grab the last straw. Even though she knew that this straw could not save her life, she did not want to give up and did not want to die in such a cowardly way. As for people, unless they are protecting something more important than their lives, they are often very cowardly, the kind that loses their mind. Just like that, the female monk spoke and told Duan Ming everything she knew. Chapter 93. 1, 2, 3, and 4 calculations 5 minutes later. The female monk died. Duan Ming didn't even ask her name, but killed her with a sword and sent her to reincarnation. But at least she didn't suffer too much pain before her death, which was a blessing in disguise. Joyous Union Sect, tisk tisk tisk, interesting. After hearing the news revealed by the female monk, Duan Ming couldn't help but marvel at it, and lamented that the struggles in the immortal cultivation world were no less than those in the secular dynasties. Intrigues and conspiracies are endless. Simply put, this secret realm is nothing more than a trap secretly set by the Joyous Union sect. There is no secret treasure at all, no skills at all, or they have been emptied by the Joyous Union sect long ago. In short, everything is just a trick. The purpose is very simple, which is to simply trick Lingyun sect and weaken its strength. The Joyous Union sect has been planning here for many years and has built a magic circle that can summon the Hell Demon. During this period, he used many accidents and coincidences to lure the disciples of Lingyun sect here, allowing them to, actively, discover the secret realm. The two women who were killed were both close confidants who were instigated to rebel from within Lingyun sect, that is, spies with the same identity as Duan Ming. They have only one mission objective. That is, after the Lingyun sect disciples enter the secret realm, activate the magic circle and kill every one of them. However, the Joyous Union sect did not expect that the soul-breaking sect would suddenly appear to disrupt the situation, and insisted on intervening to divide the secret realm and enter the secret realm together. No need to guess what happens next. There is no such thing as friendship and mutual assistance among the Demon Dao, let alone reminders and warnings. With the idea that it's a trap to trick one person, it's also a trap to trick two people. The Joyous Union sect was happy to see it happen, and allowed the soul-breaking sect to intervene without giving any warning at all. They even awoke Zhao Chuer, a secret agent who had been planted for many years, and asked her to carry out the mission together and kill her fellow disciples. Hey Tilda, it's that simple. On the surface, it is a fight between the Broken Soul sect and the Soaring Cloud sect to seize the dominance of the secret realm. In fact, both of them were deceived by the Joyous Union sect and became its playthings. However, the saddest thing is that Fang Lang's calculations were hidden behind this matter. Basically, it was he who facilitated the entry of the soul-breaking sect. In short, everyone has their own calculations and interests, and everyone wants to be the chess player and control the overall situation. However, no one can escape the fate of being calculated, and in fact everyone is a pawn. The above is all the information Duan Ming knows, but he doesn't know that there is actually another layer of calculation in this matter, which has been hidden behind everyone's sight. I had previously guessed that the Joyous Union sect was trying to capture me for energy collection. Sure enough, it turns out that I am a traitor. I think I have a bright future. Although Duan Ming said with a hint of sarcasm, he actually agreed with Zhao Kuer's approach in his heart. In his opinion, regardless of whether Zhao Chuer rebelled voluntarily or not, she was just fighting for her own interests and trying hard to survive in the cruel immortal cultivation world. Since betrayal can bring more benefits and a better life, then of course we have to do it. Anyway, the way the soul-breaking sect does things makes it difficult for people to be loyal to them. What's more, she actually happened to break Fang Lang's plan by accident. She had been hostile and wary of Duan Ming from the very beginning, so she didn't get ambushed and die in an unclear way like Li Bian. 10 minutes later, Duan Ming arrived near a cave. This is where Zhao Chuer stayed, or to be more precise, it should be the location of the magic circle that summoned the Hell Demon. There is no need to hesitate, just draw your sword and go in. However, just in case, he still cast out the golden sword, breaking evil, in advance and hung it above his head so that he could react at any time to avoid being attacked and caught off guard. You two, one in front and one behind, don't walk too fast. As if it was not safe enough, Duan Ming gave instructions to Chou Bao and Li Bian, asking them to walk in the middle while they were responsible for exploring the way and covering the rear. In this way, even if he encounters danger, he will definitely not be the first to suffer. In this way, one person and two corpses entered the cave, and with the help of the light emitted by the golden sword, they went deeper and farther. They didn't know how long it had been, about 10 minutes or so, but they still hadn't reached the end, as if this road was as long as the abyss leading to hell. There is also a strong fishy smell here, which is unbearable even if you cover your mouth and nose. It is as if someone is secretly venting in the elevator, and you can't hide no matter how you try. Moreover, there were swarms of insects and ants everywhere, and groups of rats, gnawing on the bones left by unknown creatures and feasting on them. There is not a single living creature outside, but underground it is thriving. It's really interesting. Although Duan Ming frowned, he did not show any fear. He was just very alert and paid close attention to his surroundings. As he went deeper underground, he could clearly feel a restless spiritual power permeating the air, constantly affecting people's minds. This also made the pace of walking faster again, not daring to delay even a little. Duan Ming knew that the so-called restless spiritual power was actually one of the characteristics of the Hell Demon. This type of creature is full of mania and is naturally bloodthirsty. which affects the spiritual power in their bodies, making them often full of evil spirit. However, it was precisely because of this restless spiritual power that Duan Ming had the accurate direction. He believed that if he moved towards a place with more restless spiritual power, he would definitely be able to find Zhao Chuer, as expected. Less than a minute later, he arrived at an empty underground building. Everywhere you look, there are piles of rotten flesh and broken bones, and the surroundings are crawling with scavengers, the size of cats and dogs. To describe this kind of creature simply, it is a mass of flesh and blood with sharp mouthparts, and just one look at it can make people feel nauseous. They will also integrate the prey they eat into themselves, turning it into a part of themselves, thereby increasing their size and even their strength. Therefore, if you see a mass of flesh and blood that is a deer head, a bear body, a horse tail, and various creatures mixed together, don't be surprised, it's just because it has a better appetite. In short, they are creatures that perfectly avoid human aesthetics. In addition to eating people, they can also disgust people, just like keyboard warriors. You are too late, I have already opened the formation. The Hell Demon will descend soon. By then, all the disciples of the Broken Soul sect and the High Cloud sect will die. Not even a scum will be left. In the empty underground building, Zhao Chuer was located in a scarlet circular magic circle, smiling grimly. At this point, she was no longer afraid of Duan Ming. It was obvious that she had a foolproof plan and was full of confidence. In short, Zhao Chuer is now as arrogant as Jia Junpeng. Millions of people are caring for him and worrying that he will have no food to eat. It can be said that one call will attract 100 responses, unfortunately. Chapter 94, Victory by Geographical Advantage, None of My Business. It's a pity that Duan Ming didn't care about the life and death of others at all and looked disdainful. Fourth uncle, you don't think I care about the lives of those people outside, do you? In fact, this statement is not entirely accurate. In a sense, Wang Fa and Zhang Feng also entered the secret realm. At least he still cares about these two people. But right now, you have to say harsh words if you want to. After all, it is a life and death fight, and the momentum has to be raised. You can't eat peaches before the fight, right? Junior brother Duan is being stubborn. If you didn't come to destroy the Hell Demon's plan, why were you hostile to me from the beginning? Zhao Chuer was so blinded by one thing that she didn't understand Duan Ming's true purpose at all. Of course, or maybe she was just talking nonsense to delay time and activate the magic circle. In short, after seeing Duan Ming, she did not choose to take action immediately, but insisted on talking nonsense. Duan Ming saw through this at a glance, and his brief response was just to let Chou Bao and Li Bian find their positions and prepare for a pincer attack. Get started. After Chou Bao and Li Bian were ready, Duan Ming stopped talking nonsense and shouted loudly. The golden sword immediately broke through the air and killed them fiercely. The gorgeous flowing light will never get boring no matter how many times you watch it. It only takes a blink of an eye for it to break through to Zhao Chuer. However, the opponent was well prepared. The huge green shield appeared again, blocking her in front of her and blocking all attacks. Still, they perished together. The golden sword and the giant green shield once again dissipated at the same time and turned into nothingness. However, Zhao Chuer was not out of danger. Although the golden sword disappeared, Chou Bao and Li Bian rushed up. The two corpses had no idea what it meant to be gentle and considerate to women. Their fists, as big as sandbags, were already thirsty for S*X. They wished they could beat Zhao Chuer up right on the spot and make her as beautiful as a flower. Unfortunately, Zhao Chuer waved her hand, and the scavenger beast, which was originally feasting on the food, was suddenly greatly stimulated as if it had been cuckolded. It attacked the two corpses like crazy and immediately surrounded them. What followed was the collision of flesh and the fight between barbarity and barbarity. There was no skill at all. The two corpses were surrounded by scavengers, and the little friends were beaten to a bloody mess with one punch each. The scene was extremely bloody. However, because of this, Duan Ming lost two major helpers and had to face Zhao Chuer alone. Just as he was about to use the golden sword again, Zhao Chuer took the lead and attacked him fiercely with a silver spear in hand. Moreover, the spear was so sharp that even at a distance of several meters, Duan Ming could feel a tingling pain, so he absolutely could not choose to engage in a head-on confrontation. The next second, Zhao Chuer shook her wrist, and the long spear was like a dragon, suddenly transforming into countless gun flowers, piercing towards Duan Ming like a storm. Duan Ming, who had nowhere to hide, had a cold light flashing in his eyes. He quickly raised his hand, and then 9 afterimages appeared, which scattered in all directions. However, due to the extremely wide area covered by the gun flowers, 5 afterimages were still hit, and they were immediately pierced through the heart and disappeared. Boom. The power of the gun flower was so great that it not only cut off the afterimage, but also continued to attack, smashing into the rock wall and only stopping after digging out a huge pit. It's not an illusion, Guns N' Roses is real. With the help of Golden Sword Shadow Shatter, Duan Ming escaped without being hurt, but he also realized the horror of Zhao Chuer's methods. Originally, he thought that the so-called gun flowers were just a trick, similar to afterimages, and did not have real physical damage and could not kill the enemy. But now, seeing the huge pit on the rock wall and the countless gun heads stuck on it, he immediately understood that this was the Fullmetal Alchemy. 5 elements, 5 internal organs. Old man Fang Lang's purpose is obvious, but I don't know what he will use it for. Duan Ming is not stupid. In fact, as soon as he received the task, he guessed the relationship between the 5 elements and the 5 internal organs. However, his knowledge of the immortal cultivation world was still limited, so he had no idea of Fang Lang's ultimate goal. This situation cannot be compensated by the simulator. Duan Ming must improve his strength before he will have the opportunity to see a wider world. After all, he couldn't use his chi refining stage cultivation to simulate the life experiences of the gold core stage, right? The difference between the two is not just in strength, but everything in life is different, which is completely unimaginable. Little brother, you hid pretty quickly. You won't be so lucky next time. Zhao Chuer was not angry when she saw that her attack missed. Instead, she was more confident than before. After all, she had already found out Duan Ming's strength, so she no longer had such concerns. After saying that, she continued to use Fullmetal Alchemy. Countless spears appeared out of thin air and were aimed at Duan Ming like raindrops, as if they were going to string him into a meat stick and take away his barbecue in the next second. You used some tricks, but I still won. Facing countless spears pointing at him, Duan Ming showed no fear at all, and did not even think about dodging them. He just silently clenched a corpse-slaying sword, holding his breath and concentrating, as if he was holding back some powerful move that was about to explode. You are still stubborn even when death is imminent. You will be finished if I stab you. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhao Chuer, like a female general commanding thousands of troops, controlled countless spears and attacked Duan Ming fiercely. Its momentum was so ferocious, as if he had a Gatling machine gun in his hand, firing loudly with blue flames. The next second, the spear rushed straight towards Duan Ming. If he was really hit head-on, he would probably be cut into a human stick and die without a complete body, just like the last time in the simulation. But, if nothing unexpected happened, an accident should have happened at this moment. Just as the spear was galloping, Duan Ming swung out a sword and thrust it straight, shouting loudly, "Maggot fly corpse sea sword." In an instant, the space, which was already filled with a foul smell, became so smelly that even snakes, insects, rats and ants could not stand it. And due to the environment and the blessing of corpse beheading, the foul-smelling wind directly formed a storm visible to the naked eye, which swept all the spears into it. Then, those extremely hard spears quickly became rusty, and then corroded bit by bit, leaving no trace at all, and were all destroyed. Zhao Chuer looked at everything in front of her in disbelief. Her brain was completely unable to react. How could the situation suddenly reverse so quickly that it was unbelievable? But even though she was stunned, the foul-smelling whirlwind did not stop. It suddenly swept her into it, and she immediately let out a shrill wail. Of course. Even if Zhao Chuer hadn't been stunned, given the current situation, she couldn't escape even if she wanted to. Even so, in the battle of wits, Duan Ming was slightly better, winning because of the geographical advantage. Chapter 95. When a man is about to die, his words are evil. Save me. After one blow, Zhao Chuer was on the verge of death. At this moment, there was not a single piece of good flesh on her body. Under the erosion of the foul-smelling wind, the flesh and blood that should have been fresh gradually rotted and turned black, and fell off bit by bit. Judging from the current situation, it would not be long before she would die and leave this cruel world. But she was extremely unwilling to give in, and even threw away her dignity at the last moment, grabbing the corner of Duan Ming's clothes tightly and asking him for help. What an irony. It was clearly Duan Ming who caused this situation, but the victim was so helpless that he had to ask the murderer for help. How ironic. But does Zhao Chuer have any other options? She had no choice but to try her best to struggle and beg for mercy from Duan Ming, hoping to live on in a humble way. Unfortunately, Duan Ming was not moved at all. He shook his head and said calmly, "Life is beautiful precisely because it is short and leaves no room for anything else. Everyone has only one life. In a situation where there is no way back, you naturally have to do your best to get what you want. Otherwise, what's the point of living? So, save you. How can I save you? How can I leave room for others when doing things? How can I be soft-hearted? Fourth Master, just go on your way with peace of mind. If there is an afterlife, remember to come and seek revenge on me." Duan Ming seldom reveals his true feelings, but facing a dying person, he can't help but feel a little sad, so he said a lot just now. In his opinion, the things that most people like are beyond their capabilities, so it is impossible to get them without trying their best. This is also one of the main reasons why he is willing to help Fang Lang, simply because by trying to get the skin of a tiger, he can maximize his benefits and get what he wants further. This is also the reason why he was willing to attack his uncle Master, with whom he had no grudge against him, because he only had one life and could not leave any room for him. After saying that, Duan Ming waved his hand and pierced Zhao Chuer's head with a sword, sending her to death. Although he still tried to kill him, he did not go so far as to torture him, which could be considered as a last bit of mercy. After all, allowing Zhao Chuer to gradually decay and die would be an extremely cruel thing. After dealing with Zhao Chuer and obtaining the mission items required by Fang Lang, Duan Ming turned his attention to the battlefield on the other side. At this time, Chou Bao and Li Bian were still fighting fiercely with the scavenger beast. Although these disgusting monsters are not very powerful, they seem to be endless and cannot be killed completely. Every time one is killed, two more will immediately jump out, causing great trouble. It's too slow. They keep punching us like this. I don't know how long they'll stop. Duan Ming didn't want to stay here too long. After glancing at the magic circle that was still running, he sighed slightly. Okay, I'll be the savior and destroy the magic circle. In fact, although he said this, Duan Ming still had selfish motives. If the magic circle is destroyed, it will undoubtedly be a great achievement. By that time, no matter whether it was the Duanyun sect that did not care about the lives of its disciples, or the Lingyun sect that talked about benevolence, righteousness and morality, they all owed him a favor. Based on such achievements, it shouldn't be too much to ask for some skills, money, etc., right? He did it as he thought, and used the maggot, fly and corpse sea sword, again. A foul-smelling wind suddenly blew up, sweeping up all the scavengers in his sight and strangulating them one by one. In an instant, the sky was filled with rotten flesh falling down, and in just a few moments, most of the scavengers were killed. However, when Duan Ming controlled the foul-smelling wind to attack the magic circle, he found that he was unable to destroy it, and not even a trace of damage was caused. The summoning circle seemed like a phantom, and would become distorted, blurred and shaky when blown by the foul wind. But when the stinking wind blows away, it will return to its original state, without any change. What's the principle behind this? Duan Ming, who had just started learning magic arrays, naturally couldn't understand the mystery of it, nor did he know how to crack it. For a moment, he couldn't help but frown. Then he tried several more times, but unfortunately the results were the same every time and he still failed to achieve the desired effect. At this point, Duan Ming finally understood that this magic formation was not something he could destroy. According to the results of previous simulations, the best one was when the foundation-building monks of the soul-breaking sect and the soaring cloud sect joined forces to break into the secret realm and then put an end to the turmoil. But this kind of thing will only happen after several months. Am I really going to be trapped here? Before entering the secret realm, Duan Ming conducted many simulations, almost spent all his money, and got the ending he wanted. However, the process cannot be considered risk-free, as there are still two hurdles he needs to face. First, Zhao Chuer and her two helpers. Although the actions were not carried out according to the simulated time points, this level has been solved at present, so there is no need to explain it in detail. Secondly, once the Hell Demon Summoning Array is activated, the secret realm will be closed and unable to enter or exit. This period is the real test and it is extremely dangerous. Not only are there Hell Demons running rampant everywhere, but cultivators from all sides are also selling out, betraying, and even taking advantage of the situation to rob in order to save their own lives. And this period lasted for almost several months, and every day was full of risks. it was not until the foundation building stage monks from the outside world joined forces that they were able to break through the secret realm and enter it, and finally resolve these troubles. Right now, Duan Ming was unable to destroy the magic circle, which meant he had to continue staying in the secret realm. Although they are not too worried about their own safety, no one wants to take unnecessary risks. Unfortunately, there is no choice but to accept my fate. Chubao, Li Bian, let's go. Seeing that the situation was hopeless, Duan Ming could only make a prompt decision and immediately start running away, running as far as he could. Although the problem is troublesome, it is not fatal. Anyway, let's escape from here and hide for a while. Duan Ming quickly left the underground cave and kept moving, starting to think about how he could gain a greater advantage in this turmoil. Through simulation, I know that there is no danger in the south in the first month. We can head there for the time being and observe secretly. Afterwards, the Broken Soul sect and the Soaring Cloud sect will each stick together to fight against the Hell Demon together, and have a short honeymoon period. Then, the complex side of human nature will be revealed. Betrayal, ambush, robbery and murder will all appear one by one. At that time, I will take the opportunity to kill some monks, take their tokens, and seize their storage bags. It will also be a good option. Should we go find Wang Fa and Zhang Feng? These two guys should be fine, right? Duan Ming's plan is relatively complete. Although it is not earth-shattering, it is enough to deal with the crisis. But, he didn't notice that at the corner of his clothes, where Zhao Chuer had grabbed it when she begged for mercy, there was a tiny, imperceptible mark of spiritual power. How to say it? In the immortal cultivation world, even the words of a dying person are evil. Chapter 96. Hell Demon. Lacquer Love. 15 days later, in the southern part of Secret Realm. At this moment, Duan Ming was covered in blood, with corpses of hell demons everywhere around him, and he himself was exhausted. What's going on? It's only been 15 days. Why did the hell demons invade the south in large numbers? During these few days, Duan Ming lived as miserably as a stray dog, feeling that he would encounter the devil wherever he went. He didn't know why the situation turned out like this, and the situation was completely different from the simulation. After thinking about it, he simply believed that it was the impact of his previous actions that instigated the butterfly effect, which caused the situation to change completely. After all, if he had strictly followed the simulation process, he would not have even met Zhao Chuer at this moment, let alone killed her. It seems that I was too hasty and shouldn't be so impatient. But, I was clearly planning to hide and strictly followed the simulation process, so how could I suddenly get lost and return to the entrance? Could it be that something else happened that I was not aware of or noticed? Yes, that's right, something did happen, but Duan Ming himself didn't realize it. If Zhang Feng and Wang Fa were here, they would definitely be able to tell him the correct answer. It's not complicated, it's very simple. You just got sick and felt that the challenge was not difficult enough, so you got lost on your own initiative. That's all. Certainly, even if he said this, Duan Ming would not admit it. He would still stubbornly believe that he got lost accidentally and it was definitely not his own mistake. Therefore, this puzzle has no solution, and he is likely to never know the correct answer, at least in this lifetime. No, if I continue like this, I will be exhausted sooner or later. It seems, I still have to find some scapegoats to help me. Facing the successive attacks of the hell demons, Duan Ming knew clearly in his heart that it was impossible for him to resist the situation alone. So after thinking for a while, he thought of the disciples of the Broken Soul sect and the Lingyun sect, and wanted to use their power to help him bear some of the pressure. We all prosper together and we all suffer together. I don't believe that the hell demon can still be biased. He can't just keep chasing me and killing me, right? The plan is not bad, it can be regarded as a way to divert trouble away. But the hidden mark on the corner of the clothes just wants to say, hey Tilda, I am biased, I am just targeting you, so what? In short, at this moment Duan Ming had not noticed anything unusual on his body, and he rushed non-stop towards the meeting place in his memory, hoping to reunite with the scapegoats as soon as possible. Before long, Duan Ming, who was born unlucky, became even more unlucky with the blessing of the spiritual power mark, and unexpectedly met the enemy who tried to stop him. This is a hell demon named Chi. In terms of appearance, it looks like a pink pony with smooth pink skin and a pink and tender body. However, the pink skin does not give it any cute appearance. Its lower body has 6 long, thin legs, all of which are spiked, with no soles or toes. Its upper body is like a human torso without arms, with a circle of green leaves around its neck, and its head is bald, without a single hair. In short, in Duan Ming's opinion, it looked like a mannequin with its arms removed and its eyes gouged out. Moreover, the empty eye sockets were filled with emerald green plants, and a string of lavender-like substance hung from the mouth. How should I put it? Judging from its appearance, it might be able to get along well with the environmentalist girl and they might have common topics. Such a strange creature stood in front of Duan Ming, silently examining him. No one knew what means it had or how it would launch an attack. After a long stalemate, Duan Ming felt a little uneasy about the other party's look, but he never took any action. The reason is simple, he is still waiting for Chou Bao and Li Bian to sneak around. After several chases, he has developed a habit of always keeping a distance between the two corpse puppets and himself, so that he would not be discovered but could still come to support him quickly. In this way, he could launch a counterattack, first diverting the enemy's attention himself, and then using the two corpse puppets to attack from behind, catching the opponent off guard. In short, this trick has been used several times and it has worked so far and solved a lot of problems. Not long after, Duan Ming smelled a hint of stinky smell in the air and knew it must be Chu Bao's body odor. So, without any hesitation, he immediately took out the golden sword and attacked Chi fiercely. The attack of golden sword, breaking evil, is fierce, and it can restrain evil creatures such as the hell demon, so it aroused the vigilance of Chi the moment it appeared. However, it did not dodge. Instead, it stared blankly at the golden sword coming towards it, as if it was stunned. Seeing this situation, Duan Ming couldn't help but frown slightly, and he didn't feel much joy in his heart. In his opinion, even if one is a weakling, he should not have no reaction at all. Even showing a scared expression is fine. Therefore, Duan Ming not only did not relax his vigilance, but instead silently cast the Xuanling shield, just in case. As expected. The next second, just as the golden sword was about to hit Chi, the opponent suddenly flashed out of thin air, disappeared from sight, and was nowhere to be seen. At the same time, Duan Ming cried out in his heart that something was wrong and quickly used the Xuanling shield. Immediately afterwards, dozens of spiritual shields appeared, surrounding Duan Ming and spinning continuously. This was the defensive technique he found in Fang Lang's warehouse. It wasn't top-notch, but it was barely enough. At the moment when the Xuanling shield was cast, Chi appeared again, but its position had changed and it happened to stand behind Duan Ming. It seems that this kind of creature should be able to use spells such as teleportation, otherwise it would not be possible to move at such a high speed. At the same time, Duan Ming was also very glad that he had been careful and taken defensive measures in advance, so that even if he was attacked, he would not be killed in one blow. However, he missed one thing, that is, some attacks cannot be defended. Just when Duan Ming hadn't reacted yet, he suddenly felt his brain being hit hard. His vision suddenly became blurry, his consciousness gradually shook, and his mind became increasingly unclear. Spiritual attack. Duan Ming clenched his teeth tightly to prevent himself from fainting, otherwise that blow would be enough to end his life. While he still had the strength to fight, he quickly threw out a spirit explosion talisman, and retreated quickly. At this time, Chou Bao and Li Bian could no longer hold back and immediately rushed out, supported the staggering Duan Ming, and confronted Chi. Chapter 97 The Benefits of Being Brainless. Boom. As the spiritual explosion talisman exploded, smoke immediately filled the entire place. However, Chi did not suffer any damage at all. It teleported to a safe area before the explosion occurred. Faced with such a tough opponent, Duan Ming couldn't think of a way to break the deadlock for a moment, and didn't know how to kill the opponent. I definitely can't escape. After all, no matter how fast you go, it can't be faster than teleportation. After catching his breath for a long time, he finally managed to stand up without help, and then immediately began to think about a solution. Fortunately, he reacted quickly. After seeing that Chi did not launch another mental attack, he quickly realized that the opponent's attack method must have some restrictions, otherwise there would be no need to waste time. Is it the distance, or is it the time? Chu Bao, Li Bian, you two go ahead. Judging from various signs, the restriction conditions are not difficult to guess. They are nothing more than distance restrictions or time restrictions, one of the two must be true. Therefore, Duan Ming immediately ordered the two corpse puppets to rush forward and act as cannon fodder, in order to find out the opponent's background and prepare for the next attack. Soon, the two corpse puppets that received the order firmly fulfilled their duties as spiritual pets, and rushed forward in unison without caring about the risks at all. However, just as they ran to the center of the venue, Chi moved first. He disappeared suddenly again, and then appeared clearly behind the two corpses, only 2 or 3 steps away. Seeing this scene, Duan Ming immediately had the answer in his mind. It was definitely the distance limitation. Otherwise, there would be no need for Chi, who possesses the ability to attack with the mind, to teleport to such a close distance to the enemy. To some extent, this is equivalent to putting yourself in danger and taking some risks. If it is not necessary, there is no reason to do so. Furthermore, considering that Chi also masters teleportation-type spells, it can be almost 100% certain that it is definitely a distance limit. After all, only this kind of spell that can move at high speed can maximize its combat power and make the combination more reasonable. Sure enough, in the next second, Chi launched a mental attack again, and Chou Bao fell to the ground in an instant, rolling on the ground in pain, obviously seriously injured. However, what was surprising was that Li Bian was actually fine, and it could even be said that he was not affected at all. Li Bian was like a machine, not thinking about why the enemy suddenly appeared beside him. He was like an irrational bloodthirsty beast, without thinking about anything, he just rushed forward with a punch. Bang! Chi was knocked flying, his entire face was sunken, and he slid for nearly 7 or 8 meters before he stopped, staring at Li Bian in a daze. This time it was truly stunned, not expressionless like before. I guess it must be wondering why Li Bian didn't react and why he was not affected by the mental attack. Duan Ming understood this more quickly. Sure enough, if it doesn't have intelligence, it won't be affected. Li Bian is an ordinary corpse puppet and doesn't have intelligence, so he becomes the nemesis of Chi. How should I put it? It really proves the old saying, God has given me talents for a purpose. Among Duan Ming, Chou Bao and Li Bian, the weakest and the one with the least growth potential must be Li Bian without a doubt. However, nowadays, the weakest one has become the key to reversing the situation and has become the MVP who carries the entire game. Or to put it more bluntly, even if it is garbage, it is just a resource placed in the wrong place and still has value. Duan Ming was naturally overjoyed to get this information. He quickly opened his storage bag and poured out all the hell demon corpses he had collected before. Originally, he just had a whim, thinking that the hell demon's corpse might have some value, so he planned to ask Fang Lang after the war. Maybe it could be the material for pill refining or talisman crafting, so he collected them. However, unexpectedly, the unintentional act became the key to breaking the current situation, and a means to target Chi was found in an instant. Duan Ming quickly started to practice the 9 nether corpse refining technique, and then a large number of hell demon corpses slowly stood up and looked at Chi in unison. Although their eyes are lifeless, they are filled with a strange murderous aura and a sense of horror as if zombies are attacking. Needless to say, with a large number of non-intelligent helpers, Duan Ming reversed the situation in an instant. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill Chi. However, Chi was not a fool. When he saw that the situation was not favorable to him, he hurriedly got up and quickly used instant movement, intending to escape from the battlefield. Unfortunately, if the prey that has been targeted wants to escape, it really needs some tricks. And quite unfortunately, Duan Ming, who no longer had to worry about the risk of sneak attacks, immediately unleashed his golden sword, breaking evil, and aimed his spearhead at Chi. This is a martial art that is purely for restraining evil spirits. The most important thing is that the golden sword has the function of automatically searching for enemies. Therefore, no matter how quickly Chi moves, it will be killed by the golden sword in the first moment. Certainly. One of the main reasons is that the range of instant movement is not large enough, and it is not possible to immediately get rid of the enemy and leave the battlefield. Therefore, every time when Chi performs instant movement and creates a certain distance, the golden sword will immediately attack and entangle it, causing damage. Immediately afterwards, Li Bian would bring a group of his younger brothers and come with knives to chop. And under Duan Ming's command, the positions of the zombies were extremely scattered, resulting in that no matter where Chi appeared, he would be attacked quickly. After a few exchanges, the battle became easier and smoother. Just like that, the hell demon Chi, who had no close combat ability, was slowly scraped and drained of blood, and finally died. Sure enough, no matter how powerful the enemy seems, or how buggy the skills are, there are always weaknesses. As long as you observe calmly and carefully, it is only a matter of time before you find a way to break the deadlock. After killing Chi, Duan Ming slowly walked to the corpse, he still planned to recycle the corpse to see if it had any other use value. Perhaps this was a common problem among the disciples of the soul-breaking sect. However, when he was about to put the body away, he suddenly smelled a strange fragrance. Following the smell, Duan Ming discovered that the fragrance was actually wafting from Chi-I's blood, which was intoxicating. Without much hesitation, although he didn't know what it was used for, he collected the blood and transferred it into a small vial as soon as possible. After all, who knows if it will be useful in the future. Chapter 98 Blasphemy Against the Existence of God. 1 month later. The secret realm has already beaten the dog's brain. The alliance between the two factions in the simulation did not take place. The Broken Soul faction and the Soaring Cloud sect had no intention of joining forces to fight the enemy. Instead, they harmed each other from the very beginning, accusing each other of being the conspiracy and trickery set up by the other side. Moreover, the Hell Demon became even more bloodthirsty and violent, hunting Duan Ming day and night, forcing him into a state where he had no way to escape to heaven or to hell. During this period, Duan Ming really had no choice but to do this. In order to protect himself, he had harmed 5 groups of teammates in succession, at least dozens of people. Moreover, he looted the bags with tears in his eyes and picked up a lot of storage bags. It was really too much of a burden and he was under pressure that he shouldn't have to bear at this age. It's a pity that this group of people are really poor, so poor that it makes people wonder what's wrong with this world. There are dozens of storage bags, but there is nothing useful in them. It's amazing. Not only was there no spirit pill, but even the silver was very scarce, with only less than a dozen taels of silver being harvested. He can be said to be the most miserable loot plunderer in history. How to put it, the most common thing in the storage bags of the soul-breaking sect disciples is corpses. There are all kinds of corpses, and most of them are incomplete, either missing an arm or a leg. For a moment, Duan Ming completely lost the desire to kill and rob, and almost thought of becoming a monk. Fortunately, the prison demons were very kind and helped Duan Ming enthusiastically. They hunted him day and night, leaving him no time to have any wild thoughts. At this moment, Duan Ming, who had experienced countless bloody battles, was hiding in a cave to rest and recuperate. FK, that's what's going on. Duan Ming pinched the corner of his clothes, staring at the imprint of spiritual power on it, and his mind couldn't help but recall the desperate expression on Zhao Chuer's face before her death. What a female movie queen. She was able to play me even when she was about to die. She acted so convincingly that I really thought she was begging for mercy. Duan Ming's cognition was refreshed once again, and he once again felt how cruel human beings could be. A character like Zhao Chuer, knowing that she was going to die, actually tried to deceive Duan Ming through acting and secretly planned to kill him. And she succeeded. She really tricked Duan Ming badly. Although she failed to take his life, he did suffer a lot during this period. Because of this, after being attacked continuously, even if Duan Ming was stupid, he should have realized something was wrong. After all, the Hell Demon's targeting was too obvious. Finally, today, he discovered the spiritual power imprint and guessed what had happened. It's really a tiny spiritual power mark. If you don't sense it carefully, you probably won't be able to find it. Fortunately, I survived many attacks and realized that something was wrong. It was also a lesson for me, never trust the enemy at any time. While sighing, he quickly changed his clothes, put on a dark green Taoist robe, and then burned all the clothes. That should be enough. This place is relatively safe. I can hide here for a while and avoid going out to fight with the Hell Demons. After all, it is completely different from the simulation. Just like that, without any motivation for profit, just to be on the safe side, Duan Ming decided to become a stay-at-home and hide for 10 days or half a month to see how the situation develops. But perhaps it is fortunate or perhaps it is unfortunate that although most of the content in the simulator has changed, some of it has been retained. Just when Duan Ming had made up his mind to be a otaku, there was suddenly a sound of fierce fighting outside, and someone was shouting something like, "I'll strangle you with my intestines." That voice was extremely familiar, and the arrogant words were something only one person was qualified to say. No one else had the ability to say it. Zhang Feng. After just hearing one sentence, Duan Ming immediately determined the other party's identity. After all, the characteristics were too obvious. Without hesitation, he immediately walked out of the cave to see what was going on. No, right. As soon as he walked out of the cave, Duan Ming saw Wang Fa and Zhang Feng fighting hard. Their opponent was a strange-looking hell demon, and the fight between the two sides was hard to determine the winner. In an instant, Duan Ming's mind instantly recalled the contents of the simulation, one of which introduced the incident, and ended with Zhang Feng's small universe exploding and perishing together with the enemy. All the good parts of the simulation are gone, but the bad parts are left behind, playing a trick on me. Although he was complaining, his actions did not slow down at all. He immediately took out his golden sword and rushed forward to join the battle. On the battlefield, at this moment, Wang Fa and Zhang Feng were in great pain and could not advance or retreat. The reason for all this is that their opponents are too difficult to deal with. This was a gigantic, scavenger beast, more than 10 times larger than any Duan Ming had ever seen before. Of course, this is also because there are fights and killings everywhere in the secret realm, which gives the scavenger beast a stable source of food. The more it eats, the bigger it becomes. In an almost blasphemous way, it fused hundreds of corpses into its own body, like a huge tumor, which looked extremely disgusting. And its attack method is more extreme. It has no limbs, but it can fuse the spines of living creatures together to form a huge bone spur that can be used as a whip, which can be retracted and released freely. It has no facial features, but can fuse the organs of living creatures together and spray out sticky blood that is extremely corrosive. In short, the existence of this creature is an announcement to the world that gods and the Creator are all subject to blasphemy. No, if this continues, we will all die. Zhang Feng was knocked flying by the bone spur, and a huge wound appeared on his chest, extending all the way to his abdomen, as if he was almost cut open. Fortunately, he was immune to fatal injuries, so although it hurt, he did not die. However, as the battle situation worsened, he also saw the outcome. He was afraid that even if he was not killed, he would be fused into a monster. In a sense, this is a punishment more painful than death. I have to lift the curse, or neither you nor I will survive. Glancing at Wang Fa, who was seriously injured and exhausted, Zhang Feng gritted his teeth and pondered. Judging from the situation, he should have retained some kind of killer move, but the side effects are extremely serious and cannot be used easily. Otherwise, the simulation results would not show an outcome of mutual destruction. However, Wang Fa was unaware of this and immediately said anxiously, "If you have any other tricks, use them now. My true chi is almost exhausted." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Feng nodded silently, then suddenly turned around and pulled Wang Fa over, then swung him hard and threw him out of the battlefield. At the same time, he shouted loudly, "You and Duan Ming have done me a favor. Even if I repay you today, no one owes anyone anything in the future." After saying this, Zhang Feng turned around and faced the scavenger beast with a determined look. At this moment, Wang Fa also reacted. Although he didn't know what Zhang Feng was going to do, he heard the implied meaning in the other party's words. For a moment, he panicked and quickly stood up, trying to stop Zhang Feng. "Don't be impulsive, damn it, don't do anything rash." Chapter 99 Teleportation Array. Just as Zhang Feng was about to explode his small universe, a brilliant golden light suddenly streaked across the sky. The next second, the scavenger beast that was causing trouble was severely damaged and cut in half by a sword. In an instant, blood rained down from the sky, pieces of flesh flew everywhere, and the entire land was dyed scarlet. However, it was not dead yet and was still wriggling frantically, making its last desperate struggle. The scavenger beast that was split into countless tiny flesh threads, trying to connect its body together, as if preparing to merge again and restore to its original state. Come to think of it, this creature doesn't have fatal injuries like the heart or head, so it can still survive tenaciously even if it is brutally cut. Unfortunately, it couldn't do as it wished. Rays of golden light kept coming, carrying a strong effect of dispelling evil. I guess the attacker thought that since cutting it in two was not enough, he might as well cut it into a few more pieces until it was completely chopped up. Brother Duan, Mr. Duan. The sudden help naturally made Wang Fa and Zhang Feng discover Duan Ming's existence. For a moment, both of them breathed a sigh of relief. They didn't know when it started, but they both had a feeling in their hearts that as long as Duan Ming appeared, all problems could be solved, and they were full of trust. Duan Ming naturally didn't know about this. At the moment, relying on his greatly increased strength, he was not at all in vain as a scavenger beast, and did not need to be as embarrassed as in the simulation, so he said in a relaxed manner, "Don't yell, I'm not a thug for free, prepare the money, and come over to settle the bill later." Upon hearing this, Wang Fa and Zhang Feng suddenly looked constipated, and their emotional calls just now immediately turned into whispers. "You are so greedy for money, you have no conscience." X2 ignoring the resentful looks of the two men, Duan Ming focused his main energy on dealing with the scavenger beast. In the simulation, he encountered this monster with the strength of the 6th stage of Qi refining. Although he has now reached the peak of the 7th stage of Qi refining, he still cannot crush it easily. After using the golden sword several times, he consumed a little bit of his true Qi, but still failed to kill the scavenger beast. The opponent's tenacity was far beyond imagination, and it was basically on par with Zhang Feng. Fortunately, it is very slow and lacks long-range attack means, so you only need to spend a little time hiding in a safe range and bu, and it will be solved sooner or later, and there is not much risk. Just like that, after spending nearly 3 minutes, the scavenger beast was finally cut into dices and looked like it could be used for cooking. From then on, there was no more movement. After killing the monster, Duan Ming spread his hands and grinned at the embarrassed Wang Fa and Zhang Feng, saying cheerfully, "Done, call it a day. Please come over and pay, bosses." Unfortunately, the next second, the other two also spread their hands and grinned at Duan Ming, equally cheerful, and said in unison, "We have no money. We spent it all before entering the secret realm. At most, we can write an IOU. Another IOU. Duan Ming got angry when he heard about it. Up to now, Wang Fa still owes Duan Ming a dynasty empire because of the IOU. He finally understood that this was just bullshit IOU and pure empty promises that would never be fulfilled. Duan Ming was naturally very unwilling to not get the money, and immediately turned his face away and complained, "You two are both disciples of the master, why do you have no money? Are you kidding me?" In response to this, both of them just smiled and did not explain. In their opinion, it was useless to say anything because as long as they didn't give him money, Duan Ming would keep chattering. Instead of arguing with him, they might as well just let him be. Just like that, after Duan Ming had complained enough, Wang Fa finally comforted him, "There is no money anyway, no matter what, but there is a good news, do you want to hear it?" Hearing this, Duan Ming became even more unhappy. "I didn't make any money in the first place, and now the other party is keeping me in suspense and not saying anything directly." For a moment, he came up with a plan and suddenly waved to Wang Fa to come over. "What?" Although the latter was puzzled, he still walked over. Then Duan Ming was seen half covering his mouth with his hand, pretending to be whispering. Although Wang Fa felt strange, he cooperated and put his ear close to him. Then he heard Duan Ming say softly, "Get lost." In an instant, thunder and lightning struck the earth, and Duan Ming's bold move stunned Wang Fa. He stood there in a daze, his mind confused. On the other side, Zhang Feng was even more confused, with a curious look on his face. "What are you two talking about? Why are you hiding from me? I want to listen, too." Facing such an active request for scolding, how could Duan Ming not do as he wished? So he called Zhang Feng over and whispered in his ear, "Idiot." At this point, Wang Fa, who was originally the only one in a daze, immediately became the same for both of them. They felt sorry for each other and experienced the care from the transmigrator. "Brother Duan, sometimes I really suspect that you are a god descended from the earth. You always say things that are incomprehensible but seem very impressive." Wang Fa was stunned for a long time. When he came to his senses, he couldn't help but sigh, "Forget it, let's talk business. Do you want to listen?" "I don't want to hear it, but if you insist, then I can't help it." Duan Ming was still sulking and still refused to give in, which was a bit childish of him, but this also showed that he had a close relationship with Wang Fa and Zhang Feng. Men, even if they are in their 70s or 80s, will always be a little silly from time to time when they are with their best friends. This is called a sense of security, which just proves the old saying, "A man remains a boy until he dies." Certainly. If it was a stranger, or someone with an average relationship, or even an enemy, Duan Ming would never behave like this. After all, attitudes vary from person to person. The closer the relationship, the more casual and free-spirited he would be. Helplessly, Wang Fa could only shrug his shoulders, shake his head and sigh, "Okay, then I'll let you listen for a while, Mr. Duan, and I'll explain it slowly. To put it simply, after the prison demon riot, Zhang Feng and I tried to investigate the cause, but unfortunately we found nothing. However, we were lucky and accidentally found a teleportation array that could help us escape from the secret realm. However, there were a lot of hell demons gathered there, and because he was not strong enough, he was chased all the way here. Now it seems that your strength has greatly increased. How about we join forces and leave the secret realm as soon as possible?" After saying this, Duan Ming, who was already very angry, became even angrier. In the simulation, Wang Fa and Zhang Feng were able to find the deduction array, and now they can find the teleportation array. Such luck makes Duan Ming envious. FK, why am I the only one who has bad luck, while the people around me have so much good luck? You two are really amazing. When he thought about how he had been hunted down by the hell demon these days and how miserable his life had been, and then saw the good luck that the two sons of destiny had, in contrast, Duan Ming felt that he had to reincarnate again, otherwise he would never be able to turn his luck around in this life. Chapter 100, Master, I miss you so much. 7 days later. 3 disheveled figures suddenly appeared in the valley outside the secret realm, and fell from midair with a bang, landing flat on their faces. However, before they could stand up, or even see their surroundings clearly, they were surrounded by hundreds of monks. Who are you? Why are your faces so black? What happened in the secret realm? Why are you able to come out? What about the others? How are they now? Tell me quickly, is it the soul-breaking sect that did this? Otherwise, you will be in trouble. Bullshit, we at Demon Dao are fair and above board in everything we do. If we say we will kill your entire family, we will definitely kill your entire family. We will never hide anything. On the contrary, you guys who claim to be righteous are so hypocritical. Yes, it must be Lingyun sect's doing. Don't try to shirk responsibility or slander us. Everyone was arguing fiercely, and the atmosphere was extremely tense. A fight could break out at any time. Fortunately, one of the 3 Taoist shadows reacted relatively quickly. He immediately figured it out and suddenly shouted to Fang Lang, who was standing not far away, "Master, I miss you so much." That's right, this person is none other than the cunning Duan Ming. As for the other 2 figures, there is no need to guess, they are naturally Wang Fa and Zhang Feng. During these 7 days, the 3 of them did not have a smooth journey, but they finally broke through the encirclement of the hell demons, successfully activated the teleportation array, and escaped from the secret realm. But no one expected that they would be surrounded by many big men as soon as they came out, and they were not even allowed to breathe. Fortunately, Duan Ming had anticipated this matter, so he reacted immediately and started crying to Fang Lang. He looked so loud and screaming that he, definitely, was scared. Grandmaster, everyone inside went crazy and fought so fiercely that many people died. If I hadn't thought about how I hadn't finished my filial duty with you, I wouldn't have believed I could survive. It's so scary. The first half of the sentence is quite standard and there is nothing wrong with it, but as soon as the second half of the sentence was uttered, Fang Lang's face immediately fell and he was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. However, in public, and with the secret realm being blocked, the 2 forces were in a tense atmosphere. Fang Lang did not attack immediately, but walked forward quickly and shouted angrily, "Duan Ming! Why is your face covered in mud? Stop crying and stand up to talk. How can you be so cowardly?" Although Fang Lang was scolding, his eyes held other meanings, as if he was worried about something, or expecting something. Duan Ming naturally understood this clearly and immediately gave him an affirmative look, indicating that he had completed the task well. Seeing this, Fang Lang tried his best to control himself and didn't show any emotion. "It's good that you came back alive. Is he okay? Is he injured? And where's your 4th uncle? Why isn't she with you?" After saying that, Fang Lang took the initiative to half kneel down and helped Duan Ming up. He then checked him again, looking extremely worried, as if he was afraid that his beloved disciple would get hurt. Such a heartwarming scene naturally attracted everyone's attention, and there were many different opinions at the moment. HMPH. Demon Dao, you're pretending well. Why are you acting in public? Don't try to fool us with your nonsense about the deep love between master and disciple. Tell us what happened in the secret realm. Hey, don't say that. Although Elder Fang Lang is a Demon Dao, he still has principles. At least he has never treated his disciples unfairly. Don't slander him. It's none of my business. My apprentice is still in the secret realm. Whoever wants to watch their master-apprentice show here, tell them now. Don't worry, since the person has come out, he will definitely explain the matter clearly. There is no need to force him, otherwise what is the difference between us and Demon Dao? There are many different opinions, almost everything there is to say, but most people mentioned Fang Lang's style of doing things, as if his kindness to his disciples was well known in the immortal cultivation world. Even many disciples of Lingyun sect would speak out to defend him, and it was obvious that they had some yearning and envy in their hearts, just like what Balala the fairy said. The world of martial arts is not about fighting and killing, it is about human relationships and worldly wisdom. At least on this point, Fang Lang did a very good job and almost fooled everyone. Master, I miss you so much. X2 Just when Duan Ming and Fang Lang were cooperating with each other and performing the drama of deep affection between master and disciple in public, the two smart people, Wang Fa and Zhang Feng, were also unable to sit idle and followed suit. They crawled towards their masters one by one, crying even more miserably and shouting even louder than Duan Ming. Everyone in there is so crazy and bloodthirsty. If I hadn't remembered that I haven't seen you off to your grave yet, I would have given up long ago and wouldn't have been able to get out. How can I put it? These two clever people even copied the lines exactly, which instantly angered Yang Origenzi and Qing Yuanzi, who were so angry that they couldn't express themselves. But because of this, everyone recognized Zhang Feng and Wang Fa, knowing that they were both top disciples of their respective sects, and yet they happened to escape death together. All of a sudden, everyone who was still discussing shut up, and no one could find fault with anything anymore. After all, the opponents who were supposed to be hostile to each other and fight each other actually joined hands to escape from the secret realm. There must be something hidden behind this. This also led to the fact that everyone dared not continue to question it, for fear of shooting themselves in the foot. Seeing this situation, Duan Ming quickly seized the opportunity and immediately said to Fang Lang in a voice that everyone in the audience could hear, "Master, we have all been tricked by the Joyous Union sect. The secret realm is fake. There is no treasure at all. It's all a lie." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present looked at him sideways, and almost everyone's eyes were wide open. Everyone wanted to ask more questions, but no one dared to ask aloud. Fortunately, Fang Lang was very cooperative. He rolled his eyes, smiled secretly, and then said, "What do you mean? Tell me slowly and explain it to everyone." Clearly, hearing this, Duan Ming nodded immediately and began to narrate his experience in front of everyone. This is what happened. After I entered the secret realm, it didn't take long, only about 5 or 6 minutes, for Duan Ming to expose Zhao Chuer and 2 other female disciples of Lingyun sect, stating that they were undercover agents of Joyous Union sect and had planned the prison demon plan. To be honest, not everyone believes this. But fortunately, Duan Ming had anticipated this scene, so he had discussed it with Zhang Feng and Wang Fa before and had discussed the details with each other. With the two of them joining in and adding fuel to the fire, they were able to barely shut everyone up. After all, if Duan Ming was alone, he would definitely be questioned. But when the leaders and disciples of the Broken Soul sect and the High Cloud sect all stepped forward to testify to the matter, the credibility was greatly enhanced. All of a sudden, no matter Demon Dao or Right Dao, they all shared the same hatred and pointed their spearheads at Joyous Union sect. Certainly. They are not fools, and they still plan to work together to open the secret realm, go in and see it with their own eyes, and then make a final conclusion. Chapter 101 A Great Harvest 3 days later. At this time, Duan Ming had been escorted back to the soul-breaking sect and was under strict surveillance. As for the affairs of the secret realm, they were all taken over by the top management and there was no place for him to interfere. However, during this period, he seized the opportunity and gained a lot of benefits between Lingyun sect and Duanyun sect. First, the second half of the Golden Sword technique. This is the reward for rescuing Wang Fa and exposing the undercover agent. The second half only has one move, called Golden Sword Hidden Sword, which is the move that killed him in the simulation. In general, the leader of Lingyun sect should attach great importance to the law, otherwise he would not be so generous. It can be regarded as a bit of gratitude. Second, the Spirit Gathering Pill and 3,000 taels of silver. This was the reward Fang Lang gave him for killing Zhao Chuer. The soul-breaking sect itself did not offer any rewards. It was obvious that it did not care much about the affairs of the secret realm and did not care too much about the life and death of its disciples. Even Duan Ming had an illusion, as if the higher-ups had already known about it, which was why they were so calm and did not offer any reward. But fortunately, I killed my fourth uncle Zhao Chuer, so the trip was not in vain, and I got the coveted Spirit Gathering Pill. Fang Lang only gave one of these pills. It was not because he was stingy, but rather because he was generous enough. It was even more precious than the Golden Sword. According to his original words, he was willing to take this medicine only when he had a breakthrough in foundation building. Giving it to Duan Ming now would be considered a bit too much of a luxury. In any case, it is almost certain that as long as Duan Ming takes the Spirit Gathering Pill, he will be able to break through to the 9th stage of Qi refining without any dispute. As for the 3,000 taels of silver, Duan Ming asked for it himself. Fang Lang was very confused about this. He didn't understand what he needed so much money for since it wouldn't help him improve his cultivation. However, considering the contribution he had just made, he did not care too much and agreed to be a guarantor, and then took out some silver from the sect. This was like becoming rich overnight, and Duan Ming was so happy that he almost fainted. He felt as if the foundation building was in sight. After all, as a poor man, he had never possessed so much wealth at one time. In the small courtyard house, Duan Ming stayed indoors and sat quietly in the bedroom, looking at the golden sword hidden sword, and spirit gathering pill, placed in front of him. I have over 3,000 silver ounces, and with the help of spirit gathering pills, there will definitely be no problem with foundation building. Having said this, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. He was obviously in an excited state and very happy. If I do this, I will definitely fall out with Fang Lang. After all, by then he won't be able to control me anymore. I don't know if I can successfully escape from the soul-breaking sect. Duan Ming's considerations were not imperfect. Once foundation building was successful, a major war was inevitable, but he was not sure whether he could defeat Fang Lang. After all, everything about the other side is unknown, just like the fog of war. It is unclear what methods are used, how many corpse puppets there are, and even whether the cultivation level is in the early stage of foundation building or the peak of foundation building. Therefore, it is normal to have some concerns and always feel that you are not prepared enough. Moreover, even if we leave Fang Lang himself aside, the other high-ranking members of the soul-breaking sect will definitely stand on his side, and they will inevitably face a situation of being outnumbered. Even if he could defeat Fang Lang in a one-on-one situation, if it was a one-on-many situation, then the outcome would definitely be a defeat. Now I have two opportunities to take advantage of. If nothing unexpected happens, I should be able to escape successfully. Duan Ming analyzed the situation secretly while talking to himself. In his opinion, there were two opportunities in total, and seizing either one would be a good choice. First, you will be promoted to foundation building immediately. Currently, most of the soul-breaking sect's top leaders are outside the secret realm, trying to break through the barrier and rescue the disciples trapped inside. In other words, there is not much combat power in the base camp. If it is upgraded to foundation building at this time, not only can it successfully escape from the soul-breaking sect, but it can even loot some money before leaving. The only trouble is that you will be hunted down afterwards, but this is almost inevitable and can be ignored. The second is to wait for the soul-breaking sect to attack the Joyous Union sect. Having been badly cheated by the Joyous Union sect this time, the soul-breaking sect would not let it go, both morally and logically. Even if it was just for the sake of face in the martial arts world, they had to come and cause trouble. Therefore, it can be almost concluded that in the near future, the Joyous Union sect will inevitably be targeted by the soul-breaking sect, and there will definitely be a lot of fighting. However, by that time, Duan Ming would definitely be sent out to carry out another mission, such as killing the remaining 3 uncles. Once you reach the wild and then break through to the foundation building, the probability of escape is almost 100%, which is the safest and most secure. However, there is a difficulty and a regret in this method. It is a pity that it is impossible to rob the soul-breaking sect. After all, facing a base camp with empty combat power, such opportunities are extremely rare, which inevitably makes people feel regretful. The difficulty is that Fang Lang will definitely wonder why Duan Ming didn't take the elixir before the battle, and why he didn't hurry up to be promoted to the 9th level of chi refining. This requires thinking of reasons and excuses, and they must be legitimate and reasonable. After some ideological struggle, Duan Ming hesitated a lot, but finally decided to choose option 1 and be promoted to foundation building at this moment. If it is a blessing, it is not a disaster. If it is a disaster, it cannot be avoided. I don't care about all that. The sooner I get promoted, the sooner I will be free. At worst, after robbing the Broken Soul sect, I can immediately join the Lingyun sect, or even the Joyous Union sect. I don't believe there is no way out. Don't worry about it anymore. You have to try everything before you know if it is feasible. Anyway, there is no absolutely safe way in this world, and it is impossible to avoid risks. Therefore, after much deliberation, Duan Ming decided to choose the option that would maximize his benefits. He would immediately be promoted to foundation building, then rob the Broken Soul sect, and then switch to Lingyun sect or Joyous Union sect. Current balance 3032. Do you want to use the life simulator? Each time it costs 80 gold. At the age of 16, you escaped from the secret realm and obtained the golden sword hidden sword, and the spirit gathering pill. 3 days later, you took the spirit gathering pill and successfully broke through to the 9th stage of chi refining. 3 months later, you successfully learned the golden sword hidden sword technique. 4 months later, Lingyun sect and Duanyun sect formed a coalition and launched an attack on Joyous Union sect. You were also assigned a related task. At the age of 17, the war continued, and you became famous for killing countless enemies. You were named the #1 person under the Foundation building and were nicknamed Ghost Seeing Sorrow. At the age of 17, you successfully robbed and killed your second uncle during a mission, winning with extraordinary ease. At the age of 17, you successfully robbed and killed Great Master during a mission, and won with great ease. At the age of 18, you were planning to rob and kill your 5th master, Mu Chengye, but he was unwilling to fight you. Knowing he could not defeat you, he chose to commit suicide, causing your mission to fail. 1 day later, Fang Lang learned the news and collapsed instantly. In a rage, he killed you and smashed you into a pulp. You died, and ended this life. Evaluation: died young, had a life of modest achievements. Listen to my brother's advice: cultivating immortals is a dead end, turn back now. Chapter 102 Golden Sword, Hidden Sword. It went very smoothly. Exceptionally smoothly. Although he died tragically in the end, this kind of thing was destined and could not be changed. Duan Ming had already accepted his fate. But no matter what, the process was very good. Not only did I learn the golden sword, but I also broke through to the 9th level of chi refining. It was a win-win situation. Certainly. The most important thing is, Duan Ming is sure that as long as he can reach the 9th stage of chi refining, his strength will be enough to crush the remaining 3 uncles and complete the task easily. The only thing was that brother Mu Chengye did not play by the rules and chose to commit suicide, which led to Duan Ming's failure in the mission. It's not a big problem. It shouldn't be difficult to kill him before he commits suicide next time. This problem was indeed simple and a solution could be found quickly, so Duan Ming did not worry about it too much. Simulation ends. You can keep one of the following. Point 1. The state of cultivation at the age of 18.2. My experience of cultivation at the age of 18.3. Life experience at the age of 18. There is nothing to hesitate about. Whether you choose option 1 or option 2, it is a good decision. However, in line with the principle that one should not spend money recklessly, Duan Ming still chose to gain experience through cultivation and learn the golden sword first. After all, the system price will increase every time your strength is improved. It would be terrible if it is not enough. I choose the second one, training experience. As soon as he finished speaking, countless martial arts skills flooded into his mind, like the Yellow River flooding, unstoppable. After nearly 3 minutes, Duan Ming slowly opened his eyes, with a smile on his face. Fortunately, I chose the training experience first. The third move, Golden Light Sword, is really abnormal. The reason why Duan Ming had such an exclamation was entirely because of the characteristics of the Golden Sword Hidden Sword. This move requires almost no skill. It is entirely the result of hard work, accumulated over a period of time. To put it simply, this is a martial art that can store sword energy in the dantian. The more sword energy is stored, the more flying swords can be used later. Because of this, the sword rain that Duan Ming saw at that time was the result of the accumulated efforts of the leader of Lingyun sect. A wisp of sword energy can turn into a golden sword. As long as the accumulation time is long enough, it can transform into countless golden swords, and there is no upper limit. Regarding this, Duan Ming even believed that he could use the power of the simulator to accumulate several years of sword energy in an instant and immediately unleash a rain of swords. No wonder, the other 3 uncles are also at the 9th stage of chi refining, but they were crushed by me. It seems that the key point lies in this martial art. Although this is true, this martial art is of the consumable type. Once the sword energy leaves the body, it cannot be recovered and is a disposable consumable. In other words, ordinary people may accumulate money for several years or even decades, but can only use it once as a trump card. This is why this move is named Hidden Sword. The word hide can explain everything. Of course, Duan Ming didn't care about these little things. After all, with the simulator in his hand, this technique was almost tailor-made for him and was a perfect match. He even felt that if he learned this move and succeeded in foundation building, he would be able to defeat 10 Fang Wolves. Thinking of this, he immediately began to simulate, preparing to improve his cultivation level and strive to blow up the Broken Soul sect's headquarters today. At the age of 16, you took the spirit gathering pill and successfully broke through to the 9th stage of chi refining. 1 month later, due to your diligent practice, you have accumulated 3 strands of sword energy and stored them in your dantian. 2 months later, due to your diligent practice, you have accumulated 5 strands of sword energy and stored them in your dantian. 3 months later, because of your laziness, you accumulated 10 strands of sword energy and hid them in your dantian. 4 months later, Lingyun sect and Duanyun sect formed a coalition and launched an attack on Joyous Union sect. You were also assigned a related task. At the age of 17, you killed the disciple of the headmaster of the Joyous Union sect in a battle, and became famous, earning the nickname, the Ruthless Little A*hole. 1 month later, you killed the 7 sisters of the Joyous Union sect in battle, and became famous, earning the nickname, What a Man. A month later, you successfully accumulated 12 sword energies and stored them in your dantian. 3 months later, you used the mission as an excuse to lure out the Great Master and the Second Master, and killed them one by one. The process was extremely easy. 4 months later, you find Mu Chengye and tell him Fang Lang's plan, hoping that he can escape from here. Your purpose is to buy yourself some time and accumulate more sword energy. You explained the pros and cons, but Mu Chengye remained unmoved. Without saying anything, he drew his sword and killed himself. He died, causing your mission to fail. 1 day later, Fang Lang learned about this and was furious, so he chased you all the way. 3 days later, you were caught by Fang Lang, tortured to death by having your tendons pulled out and your skin peeled off. You died, and ended this life. Evaluation: died young, had a life of modest achievements. Listen to my advice, cultivating immortals is a dead end. Some people just don't play by the rules, you can't control them. When the simulation ended, Duan Mingren was dumbfounded. At this moment, his head was buzzing and he felt as if he had been kissed by Voldemort. He really couldn't understand why Mu Chengye didn't run away, why he had to commit suicide. Is this guy mentally ill? Why does he like to hurt himself so much? The results of the first simulation can lead to the conclusion that Mu Chengye knew he could not defeat Duan Ming, so he chose to commit suicide. This is acceptable. After all, the other party probably just doesn't want to be humiliated and is forced to do this. But the second time, Duan Ming had no intention of killing him, he just wanted him to escape, so how did it become like this? I can't understand it, I really can't understand it. It's totally illogical. Forget it, forget it. At worst, I can just kidnap him next time, or try someone else. After thinking for a long time without any answer, Duan Ming was too lazy to think about it anymore. Simulation ends, you can keep one of the following. Point 1. The state of cultivation at the age of 17.2. My experience of cultivation at the age of 17.3. Life experience at the age of 17. When it came to the selection stage, Duan Ming was a little hesitant this time. Should I choose to cultivate experience and accumulate sword energy, or should I improve my cultivation level first? Logically speaking, he must want to accumulate sword energy. After all, when his realm is upgraded, the price will go up, and then he will have fewer simulation opportunities. However, it must be admitted that the higher the realm, the faster the speed of accumulating sword energy will be, and even the quality will be better, at least the lethality will be stronger. Therefore, this is a dilemma. No matter which one you choose, it is reasonable and neither is a losing deal. Chapter 103 Impacting the Foundation Building. After a long while of thinking, Duan Ming finally made a decision. In the end, he chose the realm of cultivation. It's not that I haven't considered raising the price, and it's not that I haven't considered accumulating sword energy first. However, the main goal at the moment is to break through the foundation building, plunder the soul-breaking sect's base camp, and then defect to other sects. Therefore, we can only put the matter of accumulating sword energy on hold for now and discuss it later. Moreover, there must be a large amount of wealth in the soul-breaking sect's headquarters. Even if the system price increases, there will be enough money to spend. Thinking of this, Duan Ming no longer hesitated and immediately raised his cultivation to the 9th level of chi refining. For a moment, the bones and flesh in the body made a thunderous sound, like the roar of a vicious tiger or the power of a giant dragon. After almost 3 minutes, the sound of the explosion disappeared, and in its place, a brand new Duan Ming appeared out of nowhere. Feeling the surging power, like a volcano about to erupt, Duan Ming vaguely felt that there was a thin film blocking him. This feeling is like having 100 million yuan but not being able to buy true love. Obviously very strong, obviously very powerful, but there are always some things that cannot be obtained by one's own strength. He knew this was the bottleneck, breaking through the bottleneck of foundation building. Only by completely breaking through this thin film can you go further. From then on, the sky is high and the sea is vast for you to explore. Continue the simulation. The foundation building is only one step away. I must turn things around today. When you were 16, the Joyous Union sect had a great war with the Broken Soul sect and the Lingyun sect. You killed hundreds of people on the battlefield for the first time and earned the title of 100-Man Killer. At the age of 16, you took the Spirit Gathering Pill and prepared to impact foundation building, but found that you could not break through the bottleneck and always stayed at the peak of the 9th stage of chi refining. At the age of 16, you tried many times to get into foundation building, but each time ended in failure. You gradually realized that your talent was insufficient and you were afraid that you would never be able to get into foundation building in this life. At the age of 16, you delayed your mission because of your hard training, which made Fang Lang unhappy. He personally came to criticize you and set a 3-month deadline, requiring you to complete the mission within this period. At the age of 16, you were unwilling to be inferior to others, so you sneaked into the pharmacy in the middle of the night and stole a bottle of Spirit Gathering Pill, but you were discovered on the way and were chased. At the age of 16, you were surrounded by many disciples of the soul-breaking sect and could not escape. In a desperate situation, you swallowed the entire bottle of Spirit Gathering Pill. Instantly, the sky and the earth change color, thunder roars continuously, as if the sky has been angered, countless lightning bolts strike towards you. You withstood one thunder tribulation, but were completely smashed into ashes when the second thunder tribulation descended. You died, and ended this life. Evaluation: died young, had a life of modest achievements. Listen to my brother's advice. Cultivating immortals is a dead end, turn back now. After the simulation ended, Duan Ming became more and more confused about future developments and his brows furrowed. What's going on? Although I'm a newbie in immortal cultivation world, I still know the most basic common sense. Why is there thunder tribulation? According to common sense, thunder tribulation does exist, but it will never happen in the foundation building stage. Basically, they are all strange phenomena in heaven and earth that will only appear during the impact of the gold core stage. What is going on now? Why would impacting a small foundation building trigger a thunder tribulation? This is unscientific, and there are 2 thunder tribulation, which is even more unreasonable. During the gold core stage, one only needs to endure 1 thunder tribulation. Once you survive it, you will be reborn and your strength will increase dramatically. However, the simulation made Duan Ming suffer 2 thunder tribulation attacks in succession, and it seemed that there would be a third and even a fourth one. For a moment, Duan Ming was confused. What realm was he trying to reach? He actually provoked such a great wrath of the heavens. Simulation ends, you can keep one of the following. Point 1. The state of cultivation at the age of 17.2. My experience of cultivation at the age of 17.3. Life experience at the age of 17. Without any hesitation, he decisively chose the realm of cultivation. There is only one reason for this. He took the Spirit Gathering Pill twice during the simulation. Even if he failed to break through, he definitely reached the threshold and was probably just one step away from success. Therefore, Duan Ming, who is eager to complete foundation building, will naturally choose to cultivate his realm in order to increase the probability of success in the next simulation. But he didn't expect that just after he made his choice and the true chi flowed into his body, a large dark cloud suddenly floated over the sky, which was extremely depressing. However, Duan Ming, who was hiding in the house, did not see this and continued to simulate regardless, completely unaware that a disaster was about to happen. At the age of 16, the Joyous Union sect fought a great war with the Broken Soul sect and the Soaring Cloud sect. You saved hundreds of teammates, lives the first time you entered the battlefield, earning you the title of Demon Venerable. At the age of 16, you took the Spirit Gathering Pill and prepared to attack the foundation building, but were suddenly attacked by a meteorite falling from the sky. The meteorite was large enough to cover an area of 50 miles in radius, and it directly hit the sky above the soul-breaking sect's headquarters. It was also mixed with a large amount of unknown viruses, which could infect thousands of kilometers. The meteorite fell, and you were smashed into ash. All the members of the Broken Soul sect were buried with you. Even the Lingyun sect and the Joyous Union sect were ravaged by the virus afterwards, and all the members died. You died, and ended this life. Evaluation: died young, a life of modest achievement. Listen to my advice, cultivating immortals is a dead end. And not only you will die, but everyone around you, whether friend or foe, will die too. Duan Ming felt numb and his brain stopped working. A meteorite that can cover an area of 50 miles, what does this mean? In this situation, who can say with confidence that they can get through it? This is clearly, God doesn't want me to build the foundation building. During a thunder tribulation, Duan Ming could still comfort himself, thinking that it might be an accident. After all, his luck has always been bad. But the same thing happened again a second time. The meteorite fell, and not only Duan Ming was buried with him, but also the Broken Soul sect, the Soaring Cloud sect, and the Joyous Union sect. This could definitely not be considered an accident. It must have been targeted by the will of the world, otherwise it would not be so outrageous. Why? Is it because of the corpse-born child? Who the hell did I offend? Duan Ming's face turned frighteningly dark. In his opinion, faced with such a situation, even with the help of the simulator, he would not be able to defying the heavens and changing fate. There's no need to even continue the simulation. You can guess that you will encounter all kinds of outrageous ways of dying, and it will definitely be a situation that will shock the world and make ghosts cry. It is no exaggeration to say that even if aliens invade, Ultraman comes, or the Calabash brothers team up to abuse him, those are all possible things that can happen. In short, he realized that it was impossible for him to successfully impact the foundation building through hard practice. After all, this is not an attack on the foundation building. Even if Duan Ming is attacking the supreme of heaven and earth, the difficulty is unprecedented. Chapter 104 World Will, what should I do? Am I destined to stay at the 9th stage of chi refining for the rest of my life? Are you just going to accept your fate? Duan Ming was certainly unwilling, but he couldn't think of any way to solve the current problem. After a long silence, I could only start thinking about how to solve the troubles brought about by the corpse-born child. It's outrageous, really too outrageous. Even if it was a corpse-born child, it shouldn't be enough to cause such a great wrath of heaven. Ever since being brought into the soul-breaking sect by Fang Lang, Duan Ming has been investigating intelligence related to corpse-born children. After some twists and turns, although the information obtained was not much, I did gain something. The so-called corpse-born child has two characteristics. First, my luck is extremely bad. Basically, it means getting stuck in your teeth when drinking water, losing money when shopping, having split urine, encountering ghosts in the middle of the night, being hated by others, and becoming a useless person in cultivation. Duan Ming has experienced all of the above things to a greater or lesser extent, and has a deep understanding of them. Second, the evil spirit is extremely strong, and people die wherever he goes. To put it simply, it is equivalent to the physique of Detective Conan, but it is hundreds of times more serious. Conan would at most encounter a homicide case, but Duan Ming would often encounter more sinister things, such as village massacre, city massacre, extermination of a sect and other major events. In short, wherever the corpse-born child goes, basically no grass will grow, and innocent people will definitely be affected. Because of this, once the identity of the corpse-born child is exposed, he will often be hunted down by various factions and will never be left with any future troubles. Only a weird organization like the soul-breaking sect, and only someone with ulterior motives like Fang Lang, would keep him by their side and seek greater benefits. But Duan Ming is not a fool. He knows that the harm caused by corpse-born children is huge, but it can never be to this extent. Thunder tribulation, meteorites, what the hell is this? This is too outrageous. Could it be that I'm not a corpse-born child, or I'm more than just a corpse-born child? After thinking about it, Duan Ming always felt that things couldn't be that simple. First of all, he didn't know why the original owner was a corpse-born child. This doubt still needed to be investigated after returning to Duanjia village. Secondly, he didn't think that the characteristics of corpse-born children alone could cause such a sensation. It was beyond common sense. Therefore, it is almost certain that there must be other things at work, which caused him to suffer the disaster that he should not have suffered. The corpse-born child is bad luck, the training waste is low talent, or else it's just transmigrator. When the word transmigrator came out of his mouth, Duan Ming was stunned and even scared himself. Is it because my soul belongs to another world that I am rejected by the world's will? The more Duan Ming thought about it, the more he felt that this was very likely, as if there was an invisible hand suppressing him. Besides the waste cultivation talent and corpse-born characteristics, the only characteristic of him that is worth studying is the transmigrator. If it's really because of the transmigrator, then I'm doomed. How can I fight the will of the world? This is true. For a small scum like Duan Ming, If he is really targeted by the will of the world, he can basically just lie down and wait for death. It's almost like playing a game. You just created your character, but you encounter the ultimate boss as soon as you enter the game. What's the point of playing? Let's try one last time. It's a waste. I want to see if the will of the world is targeting me on purpose. When you were 16, the Joyous Union sect had a war with the Broken Soul sect and the Lingyun sect. When you first entered the battlefield, you attacked your teammates, causing hundreds of deaths, and earned the title of Pig Teammate. At the age of 16, you took the Spirit Gathering Pill, and prepared to attack the Foundation building, but you were invaded by evil spirits and possessed by thousands of ghosts. Your soul was torn into slag and ashes, and your body became a moving grave. The area within a radius of 50 miles has become a ghost zone, where no living creature can survive. Joyous Union sect, Lingyun sect, Duanyun sect, and even other towns were all destroyed under your influence. You died, and ended this life. Evaluation: died young, a life of modest achievement. Listen to my advice, cultivating immortals is a dead end. And not only you will die, but everyone around you, whether friend or foe, will die too. Different ways of dying, same result. This time, Duan Ming could draw a definite conclusion, that is, he was definitely being targeted by the will of the world. In other words, he would never be able to complete foundation building in his lifetime, and his highest achievement could only be Qi refining 9th Dan. It's over, barbecue. Duan Ming's eyes were dull and he muttered to himself. His mind was in a mess and he didn't know what to do. In his opinion, if he could not build the foundation building, he would definitely not be able to escape Fang Lang's control and would die sooner or later. If they want to get rid of Fang Lang's control and take charge, they must succeed in foundation building. However, they are being targeted by the world's will, making it impossible to achieve their goal. Therefore, there is no solution to the current situation. Death is inevitable anyway, it is just a matter of time. In an instant, he wanted to give up. It didn't matter what happened, there was no way out anyway. However, perhaps it was due to his self-esteem, or some kind of illness, or simply his awareness as a villain, and he would never give up easily. In short, after nearly half an hour of silence, Duan Ming opened the simulator again. However, this time he did not plan to attack the foundation building again. Instead, he wanted to find another way out to see if there was a chance to get rid of Fang Lang, or solve the trouble that the world's will had against him. At the very least, he wanted to know what Fang Lang was planning to do and what his purpose was in taking him in. When you were 16, the Joyous Union sect had a great war with the Broken Soul sect and the Soaring Cloud sect. You fled from the battlefield as soon as you entered it. You adhered to the principle of never making enemies with others, and earned the title of Stupid Pretty Boy. At the age of 16, you robbed and killed Great Master and Second Master successively, and the process was extremely easy. At the age of 16, you found Mu Chengye and prepared to rob and kill him, but he was unwilling to fight you and drew his sword to commit suicide. You stopped it at the last moment, and made Mu Chengye willingly die at your hands, thus completing the mission. At the age of 17, you handed the last 3 items to Fang Lang, who was overjoyed and praised you repeatedly, then slapped you unconscious. When you wake up, you find yourself in complete darkness, unable to see your toes, and the temperature is gradually getting hotter. The temperature is getting hotter and hotter, you feel like you are about to melt, your brain is getting more dizzy, and your consciousness is gradually becoming confused. In the pitch-black environment, you have no idea how much time has passed and have no concept of time at all. Your arms are gone, dissolving like water. Your legs are gone, dissolving like water. Your head is gone, or it just dissolves like water. After an unknown amount of time, your body completely dissolved, but you still felt like you were still alive. After an unknown amount of time, your soul was dissolved, and you died. You died, and ended this life. Evaluation: died young, with a life of modest achievements. Listen to my advice, cultivating immortals is a dead end. But you may have a chance to defying the heavens and changing fate. Chapter 105: Thunder Tribulation is coming. How could he die so strangely? What on earth did Fang Lang do to me? And how was Mu Chengye stopped? What methods did I use? After the simulation ended, Duan Ming fell into deep thought again. There were too many mysteries that needed to be solved. First, Mu Chengye's attitude was inconsistent. He succeeded in committing suicide several times, which led to the failure of the mission, and further induced Duan Ming to be killed by Fang Lang. But this time it showed that he was actually willing to be killed. There must be a huge amount of information in it, otherwise such a big change would never have happened. But the system did not reveal the reason, which made Duan Ming confused. I definitely can't subdue him by force, otherwise he wouldn't be willing to be killed by me later, so I can only persuade him with words, but how can I convince someone to die willingly? As soon as he finished speaking, Duan Ming reacted and a name emerged in his mind, Lin Yuqing. Is it possible that Mu Changye knew he couldn't beat me, and at the same time he got my promise to kill Fang Lang to avenge his goddess, so he volunteered to be killed? This statement is a little bit outrageous, but it is not completely impossible. After all, the power of love has been very strong since ancient times, and it often makes people do incredible things. At least, as long as it is not the love of the lower body, as long as it is love from the heart, Mu Changye might really risk his life for it. After figuring it out and getting the answer, Duan Ming stopped dwelling on it and instead began to think about what Fang Lang had done to him. It melted into water. It looks like it was refined. I just don't know if it was pill refining, artifact refining, or corpse refining. Through the process of death, Duan Ming could roughly guess one or two things, but in the end it was difficult to come to a conclusion. However, knowing this much, he was satisfied and had no interest in exploring further. After all, even if he knew Fang Lang's true purpose, he couldn't change his fate of being targeted by the will of the world. At this moment, Duan Ming was trapped in an endless loop. It would not be long before he was refined, or he would be killed if he failed to complete the task. It was a matter of life and death, and time waited for no one. At the same time, due to various reasons, even though they had the resources, they were unable to break through the foundation building, resulting in insufficient strength to resolve the crisis. Therefore, with wolves in front and tigers behind, he basically has only one way to go, a dead end. Hey, is this really the end? There is no other way. How about just defecting now and joining the Joyous Union sect? As soon as he finished speaking, Duan Ming shook his head and denied himself again and again. I just ruined the Joyous Union sect's plan. It's good enough that they don't hold a grudge against me. If they take me in, I have to be useful to them. And even if he is willing to accept me, if he does not break through the foundation building, he will be retaliated by Fang Lang sooner or later, and there is no escape. Fang Lang doesn't even have to attack the Joyous Union sect. He can get me back by trading resources. After all, who would refuse a profitable business? Therefore, as long as I don't break through the foundation building, I will never be able to live in peace and there will be no possibility of turning things around. It's over, I really want barbecue. Feeling upset, Duan Ming looked through the simulation process again, trying to find some useful information to help himself overcome the difficulties. However, it took most of the day to find it, almost from the first simulation to the last simulation, which took a lot of time. At the same time, just as he was studying seriously, the soul-breaking sect was in chaos and everyone was on high alert. In the small town, every household closed their doors. Everyone hid in their homes, leaning against the windows, staring secretly at the dark clouds in the sky, not daring to breathe. Dad, what's going on? There is a protective formation in place, so it should be spring all year round. How come such a big dark cloud suddenly appeared? How would I know? But if things are out of the ordinary, there must be something fishy going on. Maybe the righteous are attacking us. I'm afraid we're going to be in big trouble. Dad and Mom, it's just a dark cloud, what's there to worry about? You know nothing. What kind of place is this? The headquarters of the soul-breaking sect. Not to mention the dark cloud, even if a fly flew in, it would be a big event and could cost lives. Also, I've heard that the transcending tribulation of the immortals is often accompanied by a thunder tribulation. If it were to happen here, all of us mortals would be buried with it. Then, the child's father, let's pack our bags and go. If we leave now, no one will stop us, right? You're dreaming. From the moment we step into the soul-breaking sect, we are their people in life and their ghosts in death. We can never escape. The above conversation happens in almost every mortal family. Everyone wants to escape, but no one dares to take action. Obviously, this group of mortals had long been tamed and kept firmly within the soul-breaking sect, and they had no say in anything. In addition to the mortals discussing the dark clouds, the monks who stayed behind here also came out of their homes, gathered together, and discussed the matter. Am I dazzled? There is such a huge cloud of tribulation. Who is causing this transcending tribulation? That's impossible. Thunder tribulation is a phenomenon that only occurs during the gold core stage. This is a joke. The leader is only at the peak of the foundation building. Who else can trigger the thunder tribulation? It must be a trick. That's right. How could a big shot come to a remote place like ours, transcending tribulation? Absolutely impossible. You all keep saying it's impossible, but why are you running towards the teleportation array? What are you worried about? It's none of your business. My mom is going to have a second baby. Can't I go back and congratulate her? That's right, his mother is going to have a second child, so I can go back to see my son, can't I? Get out of the way, I'm in a hurry to go home and celebrate my grandson's birthday. Each of them, at the critical moment of life and death, actually wanted to betray their companions. They really carried out the doctrine to the end. There were not many disciples left at the soul-breaking sect's headquarters. And after seeing the dark clouds gathering, everyone reached a tacit understanding at the same time and rushed towards the teleportation array. It was as if he was in a hurry to be reborn, fearing that if he was a step slower, he would no longer have the chance to be a human being. However, openly following the heart of Guanyin, secretly doing the things of Shira, is deeply engraved in their bones. Even when they realize that a disaster is coming, they still haven't changed the habit of harming their companions. As a result, no one is willing to admit the facts, and instead say things like, it's okay, and it's a sleight of hand. But things have developed to this point. No one is a fool. No matter what others say, everyone knows that it is not advisable to stay here for long. In short, except for Duan Ming, the outside world was in complete chaos, more chaotic than ever before. Only the instigator knew nothing from beginning to end. Even after the dark clouds dissipated, he still hid in his room like a otaku. Chapter 106 Defying the Heavens and Changing Fate, but, you might have a chance to defying the heavens and changing fate. Duan Ming watched the simulation process over and over again. Finally, his eyes fixed on the last sentence of the system. The system rarely speaks, and its lines are mostly fixed, and it only occasionally makes a complaint. However, this is the first time that such clear hints have appeared. Therefore, Duan Ming only needs to spend a little time and effort to quickly discover the abnormality. Defying the heavens and changing fate is indeed what I need right now, but how can I do it? Duan Ming pondered over the system's words over and over again. After thinking for a long time, he suddenly slapped the table, stood up, and his eyes flashed with a fascinating brilliance. There were no hints before, but they appeared in this simulation. This means that the key to defying the heavens and changing fate lies here. The only thing worth studying about this simulation is what exactly did Fang Lang do to me. As long as we figure out the reason, maybe it will be the key to defying the heavens and changing fate. The more Duan Ming thought about it, the more he felt that this was very likely. He should have made no mistake in his analysis, otherwise the system would not have said this. Thinking of this, he immediately opened the system and prepared to simulate again, hoping to obtain more information. After all, you won't be able to get the answer just by guessing. Since it is possible to simulate, the natural thing to do is to try to obtain more clues. When you were 16, the Joyous Union sect had a war with the Broken Soul sect and the Soaring Cloud sect. When you first entered the battlefield, you created a huge explosion, resulting in the death of over 100 people on both sides of the enemy and the friend, earning you the title of shit stirrer. At the age of 17, you were locked up in a confined space by Fang Lang. It was pitch black all around, and you had no concept of time. At the age of 17, you feel the temperature gradually rising. In a panic, you try to break through the confined space, but you are unable to break the barrier. At the age of 17, you tried various methods, but found that although your cultivation was there, your skills were completely ineffective, and you could only rely on your body to smash the barrier. At the age of 17, you discovered that although other skills were ineffective, only the 4-in-1 skill was still working properly, and you tried to find a breakthrough point from it. At the age of 17, your arms were about to melt, but at the critical moment you used the 4 methods to combine into one and successfully saved your arms. At the age of 17, the negative effects of the technique caused you to become exhausted and gradually unable to continue to perform the 4 techniques in one. In the end, you were unable to save your arms and they completely melted. At 17, your legs, head, and torso melt one by one, but you still feel alive. At the age of 17, you seem to hear the voices of the 5 senior teachers. They seem to be scolding you, begging you, and encouraging you. At the age of 17, your consciousness gradually fades away, and you feel that your soul is about to melt. You died, and ended this life. Evaluation, died. Young, with a life of modest achievements. Listen to my advice, cultivating immortals is a dead end. Defying the heavens and changing fate is not that easy. As expected, at this moment, Duan Ming's face was full of hope, and he did not feel negative at all because of the tragic death. In his opinion, the system gave a hint again, and it was clearer than before. It's not that easy. That is to say, this method is feasible, but it's just a little more difficult. While talking to himself, he had completely figured out how to break the impasse, how to defying the heavens and changing fate. To put it bluntly, it is to let Fang Lang refine himself. As long as you can hold on, as long as you can ensure that you are not refined, you can defying the heavens and changing fate. Although he didn't understand the principle and why it was so, the method was definitely not wrong. Although I'm still confused, having a goal and not having a goal are two completely different things. Now I finally have a way out. 4 methods combined into one: corpses giving birth to children, zombies with intelligence. What is going on in Duanjia village, and why are there so many secrets? Duan Ming was naturally overjoyed to receive guidance, have a goal and direction, but it also raised many questions, making him curious about Duanjia village. After all, before this, he always thought that Duanjia village was just the equivalent of a novice village in the game, but reality told him that this was not the case. At least, how should the integration of the 4 laws be explained? This is a skill that can defying the heavens and changing fate. How could it appear in a mere novice village? Of course, these questions are not urgent, and it is not too late to explore them later. At this stage, he only needs to overcome the current life and death difficulties. He doesn't need to think too much. As long as he can save his life, everything will be fine. It seems that in the following simulations, I have to use all 4 training methods in one. The longer I can hold on, the greater the chance of overcoming the difficulties. After figuring out the key, Duan Ming stopped talking and started to make a new plan. According to his idea, all the money in the future will be used for simulation to practice the integration of the 4 methods. He also had to go out and rob and kill his other 3 uncles to obtain key materials, and at the same time extort money from Fang Lang. As for the skills, elixirs, spirit weapons, you don't have to give them all away, or you have to sell them for money. In short, the current goal is to simulate money and improve the integration of the 4 methods. Half a month later, he was buried in Nuyuan. Fang Lang sat upright in the main seat, looking at Duan Ming with a smile, his eyes full of appreciation. The mission is already halfway completed, and now I have broken through to the 9th stage of chi refining. The rest is naturally not a problem. What are your plans? Duan Ming sat on the guest seat, picking his toes, without even raising his head, and answered casually, "If I'm not wrong, we should go to war with the Joyous Union sect, right? We can take advantage of this opportunity to kill the remaining 3 uncles." "Very good, let's do it this way. I'll be waiting for your good news." Fang Lang responded with a smile, while picking up the teacup and preparing to take a sip. But as luck would have it, Duan Ming flicked some dirt off his feet and into the teacup. For a moment, Duan Ming was stunned. He didn't expect it to be so embarrassing. However, Fang Lang didn't care at all. He didn't act like an elder at all. He waved his hand and said with a smile, "It's just a small matter. Don't worry about it." Fang Lang kept smiling, but he looked chilling and hypocritical no matter how you looked at him. It's just that his acting skills are really good. If Duan Ming hadn't known what this old guy was going to do in the future, he might have been fooled. The headmaster has already finished discussing with Lingyun sect, and they will join forces to launch an attack on Joyous Union sect soon. With your strength, I have nothing to worry about. You will definitely be able to complete the task. But if you need anything else, feel free to come find me. Don't worry, as long as you do the things I ask you to do, I will definitely not treat you unfairly. Fang Lang changed a cup of tea, glanced at Duan Ming who was still picking his toes, then half-covered the teacup with his hand and took a sip. "Money, master, please give me some more money." Chapter 107. Lying with life. 1 month later. Time is like a popsicle in the hot summer. Whether you lick it or not, it will always melt. Similarly, time is like chasing after your goddess hero. No matter whether you lick him, her or not, you can never be together. In short, time flies, and a month has passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, the Broken Soul sect and the Soaring Cloud sect have joined forces to launch an offensive against the Joyous Union sect, and a 3-way war has begun. At this moment, Duan Ming, who was out on a mission, was somewhere in the wild, holding the spirit weapon, corpse cutter, and looking at the 2 opponents in front of him calmly. "Great Master, Second Master, please use whatever means you have." If you don't take action, you will really die. Yes, that's right, Duan Ming attacked the other two uncles, and he was fighting one against two. They had just experienced a great battle, and after dozens of rounds of fighting, the outcome was already decided. Great Master Bo Ji was killed, his left arm was cut off, his abdomen was pierced, and he was on the verge of death. My second uncle Wu De, although he had more limbs, his kidneys were stabbed and his eyes were blinded, and it was obvious that he was at the end of his life. Why, X2 at the critical moment of life and death, the two seemed to have let it go. Knowing that they could not escape, they just wanted to be clear-headed and did not want to die in confusion, so they asked Duan Ming in unison. Duan Ming had nothing to hide about this, and explained openly, I am here to borrow your lives at the order of my master. Of course, there are also personal reasons involved, which I cannot disclose. Nonsense. X2 just like Li Bian, they both denied Duan Ming's statement at the same time, as if they didn't believe Fang Lang would harm them at all. Up to now, except for Zhao Chuer, it seems that everyone in the soul-breaking sect, and even some disciples from other sects, have praised Fang Lang's words. It's as if he has the superpower to bewitch people. He is loved by everyone and flowers bloom wherever he goes. He has an excellent reputation. We have been raised by our master since we were young, so how could we not know what kind of person he is? Since junior brother Duan is unwilling to tell the truth, there is no need to make up stories. Even a 3-year-old child can't be fooled. When Fang Lang was slandered, Wu De and Ji Wuming were very angry. This kind of angry expression never appeared even when he was beating them or even when he was about to take their lives. In short, Fang Lang's methods were extremely vicious, and after years of careful planning, he completely fooled several of his uncles. Seeing this situation, Duan Ming couldn't help but shake his head slightly and sighed softly. The reason why he hadn't killed them yet and was still chatting with the two dead men was that he wanted to find out some information about Fang Lang from them. Now it seems that there is no way to get the news. I guess the two of them may not know more than I do. Helplessly, he could only shrug and sigh. Since the two senior masters are unwilling to listen to the truth, then just assume that I have taken advantage of the Joyous Union sect and need to borrow your heads for use. Is that feasible? Sure enough, X2 as soon as these words were spoken, Ji Wuming and Wu De accepted them immediately without any hesitation, and both showed expressions that said, as expected. How should I put it? There's a hint of irony in this. People only want to believe what they want to believe, and it doesn't matter what the truth is. Some people even choose to turn a blind eye to the truth even if they see it with their own eyes, or even be stubborn and refuse to accept it. You two have really interpreted this point very well and displayed it vividly. As Duan Ming spoke, he summoned the golden sword, ready to deliver the final blow at any time. When the golden sword was finished, he paused, sighed, and said slowly with a slightly sad tone, "My two uncles, please don't blame me. In order to survive, I have to trouble you two to go first. I hope that in your next life, you will not live in such a confused way." After saying that, the golden sword rushed out with strong murderous intent. At the same time, Ji Wuming and Wu De had also been prepared. At the moment of the attack, the two looked at each other and attacked, making their final struggle before death. But unlike the ordinary scum, even though they were seriously injured, the two of them still worked in harmony to perform the combo skills. Wu De took the first step. A large amount of green light emerged and countless vines emerged from the ground, forming a wooden dragon that came alive. Then, Ji Wuming waved his hand, and flames rose up, instantly engulfing the wooden dragon, making the flames even hotter. Immediately afterwards, the golden sword and the fire dragon collided with each other, and in an instant flames shot up into the sky, like a TNT explosion, resounding through the heavens and earth, and directly blew the ground into a 3-meter-wide pit. Suddenly, smoke filled the air, blocking the vision of the three people present. However, something strange happened in the next second. Taking advantage of the smoke blocking his vision, Duan Ming rushed in with a quick step and rushed forward with sword in hand in the direction he remembered. He knew that the two men were unable to move, so as long as he identified the direction, he would be able to get close to them. Sure enough, 3 seconds later, Duan Ming successfully approached the two uncles, raised his hand and used the Qingfeng sword technique, directly killing Great Master Ji Wuming with a sword through his skull. He successfully killed one person, but the sword's power did not decrease at all. With a turn of his wrist, he swept across, aiming directly at Wu De who had lost his legs. At this moment, Wu De had no ability to escape. He could only stretch out his arms to block and try his best to control the vines to wrap himself, making a final and useless struggle. The next second, under the sword of spirit chi chopping corpse, the thick vines were easily cut through like paper, and then the sword blade accurately pierced Wuda's chest. In an instant, bright red blood splashed out, and a dazzling flower of life bloomed, then gradually withered. However, Wuda seemed unwilling to fade like this. He grasped the sword blade tightly with 3 hands, his eyes full of anger but also with a hint of pleading. He roared with his last bit of strength, "Absolutely not. Master." The words were growled out, full of resentment no matter how you listened to them, but they made Duan Ming feel inexplicably sad. At this moment, he felt Wuda's reluctance, unwillingness, and confusion. Wuda should have realized that it might really be Fang Lang's order, but he was unwilling to accept this statement in his heart. It's like suddenly finding out that the person you trust the most and are closest to has betrayed you, and your first reaction is disbelief and confusion. However, when Wuda learned that the deaths of Li Bian and Zhao Chuer, as well as Fang Lang's famous martial arts were all related to Duan Ming, he would inevitably be shaken. Certainly. He was just shaken. Until the moment before his death, he was unwilling to believe the facts, as if he wanted to defend Fang Lang with his own life and wash away the slander with his own blood. Unfortunately, reality is so cruel. No matter how sincere Wuda is, fake will always be fake. Second uncle, you guessed right. It was indeed not the order from our Grand Master. I just made up all these excuses. Go with peace of mind. This lie was Duan Ming's last act of kindness. After saying that, he suddenly pulled out the sword, completely cutting off Wuda's life and sending him to hell. There was no more resentment on the latter's face. Instead, he smiled with satisfaction and finally closed his eyes slowly. However, this expression was deeply engraved in Duan Ming's mind and had a severe impact on his soul. He probably would never forget it in his lifetime. This was the only time since Duan Ming told a lie that he felt both comforted and disgusted. I've already guessed it, but I'm still lying about it with my life. I'm still deceiving myself. Is it worth it? Looking at Ji Wuming and Wuda who were already dead, Duan Ming muttered to himself, but he could no longer get an answer. Even though he knew exactly how the other party would answer, he inexplicably hoped for a different ending. Unfortunately, Wuda's smile clearly told him, "Boy, stop fantasizing. If you want to die with dignity, you must first live with dignity. Don't learn from me." Chapter 108. The first person under foundation building. Another 3 months passed. Today is Duan Ming's birthday. He turned 17. In just 1 year, he grew from a little kid in Duanjia village to the top person under foundation building. That's right, he earned the title of No. 1 person under foundation building. Within these 3 months, in the battle with the Joyous Union sect, he killed several famous figures, such as the enchanting 7 sisters, the pure twins, the icy beauty. All became the souls killed by his sword, causing the Joyous Union sect to suffer heavy losses. It is no exaggeration to say that Duan Ming is now basically killing his sister to prove his truth and make his intentions clear. And as more and more were killed, everyone gradually realized that Duan Ming was invincible without the foundation building, so this title came into being and quickly spread. The Joyous Union sect even issued a special rule: anyone who encounters Duan Ming can retreat without fighting, and the sect will not pursue any action, and will also reward those who successfully escape. From this we can see that Duan Ming's actions did indeed attract a lot of attention, which was completely contrary to his previous low-key behavior and was out of place. In fact, Duan Ming himself did not want to do so, but in order to delay the refining time, he had to achieve success. At least, when Fang Lang asked why he didn't rob and kill Mu Changye, he could still use the excuse that he was helping the sect and delay some time. Things turned out just as he expected. This excuse did work, but only for 3 months and no more. Just today, on Duan Ming's 17th birthday, Fang Lang suddenly came to his door. The old man didn't say any polite words and directly stated that Mu Changye was on a mission alone and this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There is no need to say much about what happened next. Duan Ming was required to complete the task within today and not to slack off. Although Fang Lang did not say anything harsh, he could not hide the murderous look in his eyes, and Duan Ming knew that there was no time to delay. And according to most simulation processes, this incident did happen today, 4 months later, without too many surprises. In desperation, Duan Ming nodded in agreement, and then set out alone to complete the last part of the mission. Soon, in almost no time, Duan Ming found Mu Changye somewhere in the wild. The distance is not far. It can even be said that this place is extremely close to the soul-breaking sect. It is almost like taking a taxi and arriving in 1 minute. To say that Mu Chengye was here to carry out a mission is basically like covering one's ears and stealing the bell. It is pure nonsense. Duan was not surprised by this. After all, he already knew from the simulation that the truth had been revealed, so it was somewhat reasonable that the other party would wait for him here. Fifth Master, I haven't seen you for a long time. You are still as heroic as ever. Without any hiding, Duan showed up generously. After walking to a distance of about 10 steps away from Mu Chengye, he slowly stopped. Moreover, his eyes kept glancing at his opponent's hand, and after seeing a dagger emitting an icy cold light, he dared not act rashly. Of course, Duan was not worried about his own safety, nor was he afraid that Mu Chengye would suddenly attack him, but he was afraid that he would commit suicide with a knife. At least, that's what the other party did during the simulation, which led to the failure of the mission. Now Duan also needs to be refined by Fang Lang, so Mu Chengye must not die by suicide no matter what, otherwise it will harm his own interests. Fifth Master, since you are waiting here, you must have guessed my purpose, right? There was no use of force. Duan planned to act according to the simulation process and try to communicate with Mu Chengye to make him willing to die. However, the latter said nothing, but just looked at the dagger in his hand silently, with a melancholy face. Duan was very tactful about this. He didn't say anything else. He followed the silence and waited quietly. He knew that since he had already made his attitude clear and the other party did not respond, it would be best not to force it at this moment, otherwise it would definitely have the opposite effect. It's the same principle as picking up girls. Asking about their well-being every day is a dog-licking behavior. Not only will it not please them, it may even annoy them. Instead, leaving it aside and teasing it occasionally will create a deeper impression and have a greater chance of success. In short, you should treat the silent Mu Chengye like you would treat a girl. There is no need to try to please her deliberately. Just do what the other person does and communicate with her on an equal footing. Never make yourself feel inferior to others or act like you are particularly demanding. How did Lin Yuqing die? Sure enough, this trick worked. After a long silence, Mu Chengye sighed lightly and asked the same question again as when they first met. Obviously, Lin Yuqing holds a special place in his heart. He still cannot let it go until today and has to get it clear. This time, Duan did not dare to play it safe again and responded seriously. In reply to Fifth Uncle, after I escaped from Duanjia village, I ran into Master on the road and was forced to be accepted as his disciple. After several months, I met my master again in the wild. He was very dissatisfied with what my master had done and asked me to kill him. I was weak, so in order to protect myself, I drew my sword as instructed and sent my master to death. If Fifth Uncle wants to take revenge, he probably won't have the chance in this lifetime. After all, whether it's my master or me now, you can't defeat me anymore. Although the words were unpleasant to hear, Duan knew that what Mu Chengye wanted was not pleasant words, but the cruel truth without any cover-up. Therefore, he confessed the whole story without any reservation. Upon hearing this, Mu Chengye fell silent again without making any statement, making it impossible to guess what he was thinking. It was not until nearly 3 minutes later that he continued to ask, "Did she suffer before she died?" "It wasn't painful at all." Duan responded without thinking, "My technique was very accurate. I killed him with one strike, and Master didn't resist at all, so the whole process was quick and shouldn't have been painful." Mu Chengye didn't even look at Duan the entire time, and he kept staring at the dagger. The moment he got the answer, he raised his head and smiled slightly. "Thank you, I feel relieved now." Hearing this, Duan felt something was not good. The other party was clearly determined to die, and he looked like he had fulfilled his wish. As expected, Mu Chengye suddenly raised the dagger and stabbed it into his own heart. The force was so fierce that it could definitely kill him with one blow. Seeing this situation, Duan couldn't help but be anxious, and he shouted quickly, "Wait, I have a way to take revenge." This short sentence, like a magic sound, instantly bewitched Mu Chengye. The blade of the dagger stopped at his chest, oozing out a little blood. Fortunately, we stopped in time and it was just a superficial injury, not fatal. Chapter 109 Lin Yuqing's Last Wish, Revenge. Revenge. Mu Chengye said it twice in a row. Although the words were the same, the meanings were completely different. The previous word of revenge was full of reluctance and expectation. The last cry for revenge was mixed with confusion and helplessness. Finally, he seemed to have some extravagant hope that he himself did not understand, and slowly asked, "Does Brother Duan intend to pay with his life?" These words sounded awkward no matter how you listened to them. They neither indicated any intention of revenge nor mentioned Fang Lang, the instigator. Instead, they seemed to be mocking his own incompetence. I miscalculated. I didn't expect you to progress so quickly. Your cultivation level reached the 9th stage of chi refining in the blink of an eye. I can no longer kill you. Mu Changye seemed to be sighing, but there was something else behind his words, as if the second half of the sentence had never been said. Duan Ming was very keen to grasp this and quickly asked, Uncle Mu, why didn't you mention Grandmaster Fang Lang? You should understand that although I killed him, it was not my own will. I have to seek revenge on Grandmaster Fang Lang. Why didn't you mention him at all? Master, haha. Mu Changye shook his head. If I can't even beat you, how can I possibly defeat the master? Why bother? What's the point of mentioning something you can't do? Hearing this, Duan Ming refuted without hesitation. No, not mentioning Fang Lang doesn't mean you think there's no hope of defeating him, but you just don't want to do it in your heart, right? Based on the performance of Li Bian, Ji Wuming, Wu De and others, Duan Ming had reason to believe that Mu Changye had also been fooled, so he concluded that even if he had hatred in his heart, the other party did not want to hurt Fang Lang. However, facing the question, Mu Changye did not give a direct answer. Instead, he slowly asked back, Ji Wuming, Wu De, Zhao Chuer, Li Bian, you killed them all, right? Mu Changye asked calmly, just like neighbors greeting each other, without any emotional fluctuation. It was obvious that he already knew the inside story of the matter. It's okay if you don't admit it, I know it, I've known it since the beginning. To the master, you are nothing more than a substitute for Lin Yuqing. Originally, the task of killing the 5 of us should have been completed by Lin Yuqing. It's a pity, this girl has a stubborn temper and is simple-minded, so I tricked her into talking. So from the moment I saw you, I knew that this day would come sooner or later, but I never thought it would come so soon. Mu Changye explained it very clearly, and Duan Ming naturally understood it, but the doubts in his heart became even greater, and his expression became uncertain. He originally thought that Mu Changye noticed something fishy about the deaths of his other 4 uncles, so he guessed his purpose. However, it now seems that he was not kept in the dark, but was clear about the overall situation from the beginning and knew what he would face. All this made Duan Ming even more confused, and he couldn't help but ask, since Master Mu knew the inside story, why didn't he run away? Why did he stay in the Broken Soul sect and wait for death? Hearing this, Mu Changye smiled bitterly. Remember I asked you, where is Lin Yuqing's body? I remember, Duan Ming answered without thinking, but he still didn't understand what the other party meant. I was angry at the time, so I said something nonsense. In fact, the body was not chopped up and fed to the dogs. On the contrary, the body was kept intact and buried in the original place. You can go and worship it at any time. Yes, I know you are just saying this out of anger, but I actually hope it is chopped up and fed to the dogs, rather than kept intact. Mu Changye still smiled bitterly. Now you know why I am not leaving, right? Although the words were not said directly, Duan Ming understood them and realized it instantly. Once the corpse is preserved, there is no guarantee that Fang Lang will use it to refine the corpse or the soul, all are possible. By that time, Lin Yuqing will definitely not be able to die in peace. I'm afraid that by now Lin Yuqing's body has already been dealt with by Fang Lang, and will only be used one day when the time is right. Because of this, Mu Changye did not escape even though he knew he would die. It was simply because he knew that as long as he ran away, Lin Yuqing's body would become a bargaining chip and a means to threaten him. And all this was not what he wanted to see. So this infatuated man, this silly boy, was actually willing to wait for death just to protect the body of the one he loved. Duan Ming was silent for a long time, and took a deep breath. This. Uncle Mu, why do you have to do this? If you run away, at least you will have a chance to take revenge. You don't understand. What happened between Lin Yuqing and I has long transcended life and death. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many stories praising love since ancient times. Maybe when you meet the right person in the future, you will understand how I feel today. As Mu Changye spoke, he gently stroked the dagger. If nothing unexpected happened, he should be reminiscing about the past. It is very likely that this dagger was given to him by Lin Yuqing. The reason why I told you so much is because you are Lin Yuqing's disciple after all. Although you killed her, I can understand that it was not your intention. And I believe that Lin Yuqing must have taken the initiative to accept you as her disciple. This is her own wish and her own idea, so I respect and accept it all. As for revenge, I don't really want to kill you, nor do I want to kill Master. How should I put it? I am a complete waste. Having said this, Mu Changye seemed to have fulfilled his wish. After saying everything he needed to say, he picked up the dagger again and prepared to commit suicide. Seeing this situation, Duan Ming felt so angry that he couldn't express it. He just felt that the old man Fang Lang really deserved to die and it was not unfair at all. But Master, at least I can see that she doesn't want to die. Duan Ming did not persuade Mu Changye not to commit suicide, but instead expressed his feelings. Although we haven't been together for a long time, I can feel that Master is definitely not a generous person. If it were her, she would definitely want revenge. No matter how big the earth breaks and how big the flood is, she would never have so many scruples. Mu Changye was stunned, stopped what he was doing, glanced at Duan Ming, and nodded slowly. You're not mistaken, it's indeed her character. If that's the case, why doesn't Master Mu take revenge? Isn't this Master's last wish? I am just seeking revenge now. Why do you think I committed suicide? Mu Changye said with a smile, his expression full of bitterness. Master wants pill refining. You and I are both materials. Now I am destroying myself and ruining his plan. Isn't that also revenge? Pill refining. Duan Ming's eyes sparkled. He finally heard useful information. Seeing Duan Ming's expression, Mu Changye became even happier and laughed. It seems like you don't know anything, and your situation isn't much better than mine. The 5 internal organs correspond to the 5 elements. If I'm not mistaken, you are here to take my kidney, right? The 5 of us were adopted by our master since we were young, just for this day, to refine the elixir for him to use. Of course, Master didn't have good intentions. He adopted the 5 of us only because he valued spirit root. Ji Wuming has the fire spirit root, Wu De has the wood spirit root, Zhao Chuer has the gold spirit root, Li Bian has the earth spirit root, and I have the water spirit root. It's just, I can't abandon the kindness of your upbringing, so even though I knew the truth, I never thought of escaping. Since the Master wants my life, then take it. If it weren't for him, I would have died in the snowstorm long ago. I'm lucky to be alive until now. The only thing is that he shouldn't have killed Lin Yuqing. This is the only thing I can't accept. As for you, you were entrusted with an important position because you were the one who gave birth to a child from a corpse. What was needed was the natural evil spirit in you. Because Master wants to refine the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill, this is his purpose. Chapter 110 Blood Fiend 5 Elements Pill. Blood Fiend 5 Elements Pill. An elixir capable of defying the heavens and changing fate. It also has another peculiar nickname, Trader's Dan. The refining of this elixir is not difficult and does not require advanced alchemy Dao skills. But the refining conditions are extremely harsh, and it is basically impossible to get them all together, as there are many variables involved. In general, 5 conditions need to be met in order to refine the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill. First, a highly qualified 5 Elements spirit root monk. Second, a corpse-born child that only appears once in a century. Third, the corpse-born son needs to kill 5 spirit root monks personally and be infected with evil spirits. Fourth, the person who takes the medicine cannot participate in the killing process, otherwise he will feel resentful and the quality of the materials will be reduced. If the corpse child takes the medicine himself, this rule can be ignored. Fifth, more than half of the 5 Elements spirit root monks must have a favorable impression of the person taking the medicine before they die, otherwise the person will explode and die after taking the medicine due to excessive resentment. If the corpse child takes the medicine himself, this rule can be ignored. Any one of the above 5 conditions is not easy to achieve. The 5th requirement, in particular, almost excludes the vast majority of people. This is also the reason why Fang Lang is like a movie star and is praised wherever he goes. This is also the reason why most of the senior masters are so devoted to Fang Lang. This guy has been acting for pill refining for many years, and the mask of hypocrisy has never been taken off, and it has been dissolved into his bones and blood. As for why Fang Lang would spend so much time and effort planning for many years just to refine a pill, the reason is very simple, simply because the benefits are too huge and the transcendent level is tempting. Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill is one of the few pills that can change the physical constitution of a cultivator. After taking it, the user will possess the 5 Elements spirit root, and can perform a series of spells such as gold, wood, water, fire, and earth smoothly. This is the 5 Elements spirit body. It is no exaggeration to say that the 5 Elements spirit body is absolutely a dream come true for any monk. You should know that most monks have a single spirit root. Those with dual spirit roots are geniuses. If there is a triple spirit root, then he is a genius and the darling of heaven and earth. Therefore, when a person possesses all 5 spirit roots, there are really no words to describe it except making people jealous and envious to the point of going crazy. Bing Qi Zui Zhang Yao De Shi, Blood Fiend Wu Xing Dan, Qian Mian Hai Yu open corner bracket Blood Fiend, Z. The meaning of these 2 words is given by the corpse-born child, as Mu Changye said. If it was Lin Yuqing who completed the task, she could only refine the 5 elements pill, and there would be no word, Blood Fiend. The difference is that, Blood Fiend, also represents a spirit root, a blood spirit root. The so-called blood spirit root, as the name suggests, must be related to blood, bloodline. What specific abilities it has and what effects it will produce are extremely mysterious, and very few people know about them. The reason is simple, simply because blood spirit root cannot be born naturally, it can only be acquired and cultivated, that is, spirit root can only be born by taking the Blood Fiend 5 elements pill. Therefore, the blood spirit root is very famous and almost everyone knows it, but no one knows what it is used for or how powerful it is. In fact, even Fang Lang himself didn't know the information. It was just by chance that he met Duan Ming, and then he came up with the idea of refining the Blood Fiend 5 elements pill. Blood Fiend 5 elements pill. At this moment, Duan Ming was confused. This was the first time he had heard of this elixir and he didn't know what it was used for, so he asked questions. However, Mu Changye had no intention of explaining. He just looked at Duan Ming meaningfully and sighed, I am indeed a waste. Oh, never mind, after I die, you should escape as soon as possible. If you can break through the foundation building and come back in the future, remember to seek revenge on Fang Lang. Mu Changye is a conflicted person, giving people the feeling that he wants to have his cake and eat it too. The meaning of what he said was very clear. He wanted to avenge Lin Yuqing, but he didn't want to hurt Fang Lang himself. It was extremely awkward. How should I put it? It's not that Duan Ming cannot understand this kind of person. Simply put, they are not decisive enough and cannot make up their minds to do anything, just like what SpongeBob said. The reason why people's lives are not going well is because the good and evil in their hearts are not pure enough. If you are determined to do good, then be a saintly BCH. Be asterisk 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 are holy after all and are admired by everyone. If you are determined to do evil, then you will become a devil. Even if you fall into the abyss, you will have a bright future if you keep going. In short, people who want to be both good and evil are basically useless and can accomplish nothing. Mu Changye is just that kind of person. He can't let go of things because he can't let them go. His mind is tangled like a donut, a mess. Duan Ming was very troubled by this. He knew that convincing such people would be harder than climbing to the sky. It's not because of anything else, it's just because Mu Changye himself is not sure which one he cares about more, so how can he be convinced? Seeing Mu Changye slowly raising the dagger, ready to take revenge on Fang Lang by ending his own life, Duan Ming fell silent, his face terribly gloomy. FK, I hate people like you the most. You are timid and indecisive. You are never decisive in anything you do. I guess Master must hate you, right? Seeing that persuasion was hopeless, Duan Ming simply did the opposite and started cursing directly. I haven't been with Master for long, but I can tell that she would never like a loser like you. You are too cowardly, too useless, and too stupid. It seemed that what he said hit the mark. This sentence broke Mu Changye's defense. He looked at Duan Ming angrily, and even the blue veins on his forehead popped out. But he did not refute or scold, instead he gradually calmed down his anger and said sadly, yes, she really doesn't like me and is just taking advantage of me, but so what? I like her and that's enough. Sure enough, Duan Ming was right about the fact that he was a bootlicker. Lin Yuqing is a decisive person who is even a little bloodthirsty and extremely cruel. Especially when she was facing life and death pressure, she could choose to die quickly without hesitation instead of kneeling down and begging for mercy. This kind of person is a ruthless person no matter how you look at it. After all, not everyone has the courage to face death. On the contrary, Mu Changye is much more pretentious. Therefore, Duan Ming didn't think that Lin Yuqing would like this kind of guy. The two are simply not from the same world and do not have the same values. As expected, I had previously speculated that Mu Changye was a bootlicker, and now that he has personally admitted it, it seems that my guess was correct. Duan Ming was too lazy to waste words with Mu Changye, so he shouted unceremoniously, stop talking nonsense, you don't want to kill Fang Lang, I think so, Master does too. In that case, I will do it myself, and as for you, just be a stepping stone. Don't refuse me, there is no room for negotiation on this matter, you must die in my hands. In short, this is what the master wants to see, and you, a bootlicker, have no right to refuse. Since you've already licked it, just lick it to the end. Give me your life to prove your loyalty to love. Duan Ming was completely desperate. He said whatever unpleasant words could be spoken, not giving Mu Chengye any face at all. At the end, he suddenly paused, drew out his sword, cut his palm, pointed to the sky with one hand, and swore. I, Duan Ming, swear to heaven today. As long as Mu Chengye is willing to help me kill Feng Lang, I will search the entire immortal cultivation world, even if it means I will be torn to pieces, to find the item of resurrection from the dead and save Lin Yuqing. If you break this oath, you will be struck by 5 thunders from heaven, and you will never be reborn, and your soul will be annihilated into ashes. After saying that, Duan Ming didn't care about Mu Chengye's reaction and strode forward, approaching him. What a waste! I have sworn a blood oath, heaven and earth are my witnesses, I will never go back on my word, otherwise the consequences will surely come true. Now, with this promise, you will no longer have any regrets and can give your life to me. Don't you want to prove your loyalty to love? The opportunity is right in front of you. Don't let the master down. Don't resist. At this moment, Mu Chengye was completely stunned. He was suppressed by Duan Ming's aura and could not move at all. He never expected Duan Ming to do this. A blood oath is not something that can be made casually. If it is not followed, then heaven and earth will punish you and the consequences will come true. Therefore, Duan Ming could not lie or go back on his word, and he had to do it whether he was willing or not. Just like that, Mu Chengye let Duan Ming snatch the dagger and stab it into his heart in a daze, without any resistance throughout the whole process. It was not until the moment before he closed his eyes that he grabbed Duan Ming's hand and said tremblingly, "You swore a blood oath." However, Duan Ming was not polite at all. He rudely pulled the other's hand away and turned the dagger, completely destroying Mu Chengye's life. "Shut up, you piece of crap. I either don't promise, or if I do, I will definitely do it. Then you can die in peace. Lin Yuqing has me, her disciple, to save her. It's not your turn to worry about her." Chapter 111 Great Sage equal to Heaven Sun Wukong Burial Ground. An hour later, Duan Ming walked into the house excitedly. At this moment, Feng Lang was still drinking tea leisurely and comfortably. Suddenly seeing Duan Ming coming back, he couldn't help but frown. "Didn't I tell you to go and complete the mission? Why are you back?" Duan Ming did not rush to answer, but took out the wooden box from the storage bag and placed it respectfully on the table. "Fortunately, I have fulfilled my mission. Please check it, Grand Master. Since you know, why don't you?" Halfway through his words, Feng Lang suddenly froze. He subconsciously wanted to say, "Why don't you go and complete the task?" However, he didn't expect that things would be beyond his expectations. Done. Feng Lang looked at the wooden box in disbelief, stretched out his trembling hands, and carefully opened it. With just a quick glance, he could tell what was in the wooden box. "Wait here for me, I'll be back soon." Ignoring Duan Ming, Feng Lang walked out in a hurry with a frightened look on his face, completely losing his usual composure. He was going to confirm whether the items in the wooden box were real. In fact, every time Duan Ming was on a mission, there were spies arranged by Feng Lang around him who could transmit intelligence back anytime and anywhere. However, this time, he did not receive any information, but the thing was placed in front of him first. For a moment, Feng Lang naturally did not dare to believe it easily and had to confirm it. About 3 minutes later, he returned to the house with a smile on his face, as if his mother was remarried. "I didn't expect you to be so fast. I underestimated you," Feng Lang said as he walked towards Duan Ming. Although his face was full of smiles, his eyes were chillingly cold. Seeing this situation, Duan Ming naturally knew that the other party was going to attack him. Instead of resisting, he actively cooperated, slightly raising his head, and intentionally or unintentionally acting as if he was going to slap me in the face. In the simulation, Duan Ming was knocked unconscious by the slap, so he was too lazy to bother and chose to cooperate actively. This also made Feng Lang a little suspicious. He really didn't expect that this kid had no sense of vigilance at all, which was very different from his usual smart image. It's just that Duan Ming's face was right in front of him, and it would be too easy to slap him. Subconsciously, Feng Lang relied on his own strength to crush everything, so he didn't think much and raised his hand to slap him. Bang! A clear and loud sound suddenly arose, and Duan Ming was blown away. After spinning 720 degrees in the air, he landed with a difficulty coefficient of 9.9 and fell into a coma. This is too easy, right? Fang Lang stared at his palm blankly, then looked at the unconscious Duan Ming in confusion. His brain was unable to react for a moment. He just felt that there was a trap here. After all, everything was too smooth and too simple. In order to refine the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill, I spent nearly 30 years of hard work to get to this point today, but is success too easy? At this moment, Fang Lang was shaking all over, not because of fear, but because he was so excited that he was about to go crazy. He thought there might be a trap, but he couldn't see any clues. After all, the 5 materials have been obtained, and Duan Ming is indeed unconscious, so there are no more obstacles. In other words, even if there are obstacles and traps, his strength is more than enough to deal with them and there is no need to worry. Therefore, Fang Lang was so happy that he went crazy. What he had been thinking about day and night was finally going to be accomplished today. At the same time, he felt a sense of unreality in his heart, fearing that it was fake and illusory. In fact, it is easy to understand. People are like this. When they are madly pursuing something, they always think about it, but when they really get it, they can't believe it all of a sudden. In short, he succeeded. No matter how he felt at the moment, the plan he had been planning for many years had finally come to fruition. Without wasting any more time, Fang Lang immediately picked up Duan Ming and walked out of the house. Then he summoned the flying spirit weapon and flew far away, leaving the Broken Soul sect's base camp. I don't know how long it took. Duan Ming woke up from the darkness and saw nothing but darkness in front of him. Good boy, I can be considered to have copied Sun Wukong's experience, quite interesting. Although he was in an unfamiliar environment and surrounded by darkness, Duan Ming was not panicked at all. After all, he had simulated this situation countless times before. He knew that the refining process had begun and he was in a huge alchemy furnace. The temperature is starting to rise, and the true qi in my body is becoming increasingly confused. It looks like it has officially begun. Feeling the temperature change in the alchemy furnace, Duan Ming immediately activated the 4-in-1 method and tried his best to resist. No matter in which simulation, he can only rely on the 4-in-1 support, and the competition is about who can last longer. How should I put it? The refining process is equivalent to destroying and decomposing Duan Ming's body, but the combination of the 4 methods is rebuilding and condensing his body. One increases and one decreases, one destroys and one builds. It seems that the positive and negative cancel each other out, but in fact it is in the process of constant destruction that a new body is reconstructed. It is also because of this that Duan Ming was able to be reborn and change his qualifications. If an alchemy Dao master were here, he would surely sigh in admiration. This is to use life as medicine to refine oneself. Not to mention in the immortal cultivation world, even in mythical, there are very few monsters who can do this. Of course, the most famous one is Great Sage equal to Heaven Sun Wukong. Since this naughty monkey was thrown into the alchemy furnace by Laozi, he has developed a pair of flaming eyes that can see through all evil spirits and monsters, which is extremely amazing. When Wu Cheng'an wrote this article, I guess he was intending to satirize the world. A hairy monkey has eyes that can see through hypocrisy, and nothing in the world can be hidden from him. However, the real gods were defeated one by one and lost to the fiery eyes and golden pupils. From this we can see that the so-called gods, those guys who are high above, are nothing but a group of hypocritical liars. But it is an inexplicable irony that this group of scammers can enjoy the worship and offerings from the world. To put it bluntly, Wu Cheng'an's intention was most likely to satirize the world for being short-sighted. If humans are not as good as monkeys, what is the use of having brains? Being inside the alchemy furnace, Duan Ming couldn't help but sigh. He only felt that his own situation was very similar to that of Sun Wukong. There were many difficulties along the way, and if he was not careful, he would lose everything. But he felt a little guilty, thinking that he was not worthy to be mentioned in the same breath with the great sage equal to heaven. Sun Wukong is truly pure and is a role model for countless people, highly respected. He was scheming and scheming, using every possible means, and his methods tended to be evil. Therefore, Duan Ming, who still has a little conscience, does not think that he is the same as Sun Wukong. It's not even worthy of being compared with the other one, and I always feel that it makes great sage equal to heaven lose face. Humph, everyone has their own path. I am indeed not as good as Sun Wukong, but I do not regret embarking on this path. It is useless to think too much. Let's get through this first. After saying that, Duan Ming stopped having random thoughts and focused on practicing the 4-in-1 method to compete with Fang Lang outside the alchemy furnace to see who could last longer. Chapter 1125 Element Spirit Root. There is no concept of time inside the alchemy furnace. Duan Ming didn't know how long he had held on, he just felt that every second was torture. But he couldn't relax, not even a little bit. The reason is simple, simply because the temperature has reached an incredible level. Judging from the current situation, if he relaxes for just 1 second, his arm will be impossible to save and will definitely melt away in an instant. Why aren't you coming yet? I really can't hold on any longer. To Duan Ming, enduring the high temperature and practicing the 4-in-1 methods at the same time was undoubtedly a huge test. During these 3 months, he simulated the situation dozens of times, some of which he succeeded in, and some of which he failed and died in. In short, no matter which situation occurred, he found that the same pattern would emerge. Anyone who is able to successfully survive a situation will, at some point, feel the power of the 5 elements surge into the body. Gold, wood, water, fire and earth appeared one after another and poured into his body like clear springs, instantly restoring Duan Ming to his original state and returning to his peak condition. No need to guess, it must be the role played by the 5 materials, and it should be the fusion process of the elixir. Based on this, Duan Ming determined that the order of pill refining should be: first, you need to refine the corpse and melt it into blood. Then refine 5 more materials, and fuse everything together. Finally, it is refined into a pill and comes out fresh from the oven. At this moment, Duan Ming didn't know how long it would take to finish the rank 1 stage. He could hardly hold on any longer. After all, there was a huge difference between the simulation process and personal experience. At this moment, he only hoped that the power of the 5 elements would appear soon, otherwise he would be completely finished. Fortunately, maybe God took pity on him and showed mercy to him for the first time. Perhaps it is because Duan Ming himself has been strong and hardworking that he has been able to hold on until now. In short, just when he was about to collapse, he suddenly felt a surge of spiritual power entering his body. This was a rather manic spiritual power, filled with a tenacious aura, and it could even fill Duan Ming's entire body with taste and make him feel intensely spicy. There is no doubt that this spiritual power belongs to gold. The initial moment was very uncomfortable. Not only did it not help, it almost disturbed Duan Ming's state of mind and caused him to collapse. Fortunately, after enduring the initial period of discomfort, the effect of spiritual power gradually took effect and Duan Ming's condition improved. Especially since his skin started to become tight, as if coated with copper, giving people the illusion of invulnerability to spears and sabers. However, all this is not an illusion, but the real situation. When Duan Ming felt the golden spiritual power surging into his body, he actually merged with the golden spirit root. In other words, at this moment, he has transformed from a monk with a tributellus spirit root to a person with golden spirit root. This is defying the heavens and changing fate, completely changing one's own cultivation aptitude and being reborn. And all this is just the beginning. The other 4 series of spirit root will appear one after another. After Duan Ming has integrated all the materials, he will be truly reborn and will become a unique 6 spirit root monk. Just like that, as time passed, Duan Ming felt the other 4 types of spiritual power pouring into his body one after another. Wood spirit root, its nature is melodious, but full of sourness, making Duan Ming's tendons more flexible. Water spirit root, which is cold in nature and full of salty taste, makes Duan Ming's bones tougher. Fire spirit root, which was hot and bitter in nature, made Duan Ming's blood thicker. Earth spirit root, with its thick nature and full of sweetness, made Duan Ming's flesh even harder. At this point, he had finally gathered all 5 spirit roots, and defying the heavens and changing fate was a success, becoming something that all cultivators could only dream of. However, he still did not stop practicing his skills and was still trying his best to resist. Not for any other reason, but simply because there is still one last spirit root that has not been successfully refined. Blood spirit root. The required materials are Duan Ming's own life and natural evil spirit. This is the last step and also the most dangerous one. In order to successfully refine the bleeding spirit root, Duan Ming needs to meet 2 conditions. First, stop the 4 methods from merging into one, and allow yourself to melt into blood. Secondly, after the body melts, practice the skills again to restore it to its original state and condense the body again. Just by listening to it, you can tell that this process is extremely difficult and dangerous. It is no exaggeration to say that if you are not careful, all your efforts will fail and you will die. Moreover, even if he gave up further action and gave up his blood spirit root, he was still a person with the 5 elements spirit root. He was still a favored child of heaven and an existence that made people envious. It's a pity that Duan Ming never thought of giving up, and never thought about making the safest plan. At this moment, his mind was filled with only one idiom: just do it. This is not the first time this has happened. It seems that the more dangerous the situation is, the more brainless he becomes, and he always likes to take the biggest risks. In addition, the benefits this time were so huge that it was hard to resist the temptation, so Duan Ming did it without hesitation. In an instant, he suddenly stopped practicing the 4-in-1 method. Then, in just a blink of an eye, the whole person melted into blood and sank to the bottom of the furnace. Looking at this situation, it's basically the same as death. However, Duan Ming could still feel his own existence and he knew that he was still alive. Not daring to delay any longer, he immediately started practicing his skills again, forcing his body to recover bit by bit. But this process is not easy, and it can even be said to be more difficult than the previous fusion of the 5 elements combined. Not only does one need to practice martial arts to restore the body, but one also needs to integrate the evil spirit into the body. It was a spiritual power filled with tyranny. An ordinary person would probably suffer a mental breakdown and become a fool if they felt it for just 1 second. However, Duan Ming needs to persist under the brutal pressure until his body recovers, and in the process he needs to actively integrate the evil spirit into every inch of his flesh and blood. If the whole process goes smoothly, he will be able to obtain the blood spirit root and be full of evil spirit, which is definitely the birth of the devil. It's almost there, just hold on a little longer. 5 minutes later, Duan Ming had recovered his upper body with amazing perseverance and was trying his best to recover his lower body. The whole process is extremely dangerous, and no one would dare to joke around in the current situation. But Duan Ming didn't know if he had lost his mind, as he actually spent a lot of energy and effort to refine his third leg. Bigger, bigger, this is the only chance, we can't miss it. The man was silent and the woman was in tears. In this situation, it cannot be said that he is not playing by the rules. This guy simply overturned the card table. Not only did he not play, he also didn't allow others to play. It was supposed to be a dangerous journey, but he completely ruined it. It's absolutely terrible. In short, no normal person would do such a thing. Duan Ming is definitely not normal. Unfortunately, no one saw this scene and no one complained about it. Just like that, Duan Ming forcibly got himself a third leg that was mighty yet fierce, and looked like someone who was not easy to mess with. I don't know which unlucky girl will encounter the same disaster in the future. I feel really sad for her. Chapter 113 Rough Body in a hidden valley 30 kilometers away from the soul-breaking sect. This place is Fang Lang's real base camp, and also the place where pill refining takes place. In order to make his plan go smoothly, this guy not only guards against external enemies, but also his fellow disciples, so he conducts pill refining outside the sect. However, he still miscalculated, or rather, he calculated it correctly. At this moment, there were 2 similar figures outside the valley, silently observing the surroundings with puzzled and worried expressions. Brother, what's going on with this strange phenomenon? I've never heard that when refining the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill, there will be a thunder tribulation. Do we need to take shelter for a while? The person who spoke was the leader of the Broken Soul sect, Qing Yuanzi. He was dressed in black and kept looking up at the dark clouds in the sky with a slightly uneasy look on his face. The person he called brother was actually the head of Lingyun sect, Yang Originzi, who was dressed in white. One is good and the other is evil, one is kind and the other is evil. But now they stand together, and their relationship seems to be particularly friendly and without any hostility. It's indeed beyond common sense, but the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill is extremely important to us. There's no reason to give it up easily. Wait a little longer, just wait for Fang Lang to finish refining the pill, then kill someone to get the pill. The head of Lingyun sect, Yang Originzi, had the same kind and friendly image in the outside world, but at the moment he revealed an extremely sinister look, which was really shocking. In fact, Qing Yuanzi and Yang Originzi are brothers, twins, and a natural community of destiny. The so-called community of shared destiny means that 2 people share one life. If one dies, both die together, and if one is strong, both are strong together. Simply put, their cultivation is interconnected, and their lives are also interconnected, so they are called a community of shared destiny. The advantages and disadvantages of this constitution are extremely obvious, like a double-edged sword. If used well, it will lead to a bright future, but if used poorly, it will lead to an early death. Apparently, judging by today's situation, the two brothers used it very well. Because of their shared destiny, the two of them often practice faster and stronger than their peers, and they are also good at seizing opportunities and soaring into the sky. After becoming famous, the two founded the Broken Soul sect and the Soaring Cloud sect respectively in order to consolidate their positions, belonging to the paths of good and evil. In this way, in this area, whether it is black or white, they too have the final say, everything is under their control, they are real local emperors. Of course, they are not without troubles, but no one has been able to shake the status of the two over the years. After all, who could have imagined that good and evil would suddenly join forces, and it would be easy to be caught off guard? Just like the Joyous Union sect's Hell Demon project. In fact, the two of them had known this for a long time, but they still let their disciples go in and die. Their purpose was to get an excuse to join forces, declare war, and eliminate dissidents. This is the fourth level of calculation hidden behind everyone's sight, and few people know about it. Now, the two of them gathered outside the valley, and their purpose was obvious. They had their eyes on the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill, and wanted to kill Fang Lang and take the medicine. If you think about it, it is not difficult to understand that if the Destiny community takes the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill, then both of them can defying the heavens and changing fate. How powerful and tempting it is. No wonder the two of them have been helping Fang Lang in secret and have never taken any action to stop him. How to put it, the immortal cultivation world is a game where big fish eat small fish eat shrimps, and it is still unknown who will win in the end. Within the valley, in an underground cave, Fang Lang was trying his best to operate the alchemy furnace, with beads of sweat on his forehead. These two bastards are here again. They want to steal my elixirs. Dream on. After years of preparation, how could Fang Lang be completely defenseless? At this moment, he had already sensed the presence of Yang Origenzi and Qing Yuanzi. He was not surprised at all about this, as if everything was reasonable. Fortunately, I was well prepared and used the precious flow speed talisman. I can definitely refine the elixir before they find out. After all, I am still one step faster. The flow rate talisman is an auxiliary prop, but it is expensive and quite precious. It has only one effect, which is to speed up or slow down the flow of time in a certain area. Normally, this talisman is of little use and is both expensive and useless. Only the wealthy children of some large families would use this talisman to practice and save time. However, for Fang Lang at the moment, this talisman happens to be the key to victory. The pill refining time, which originally took 49 days, was shortened to just over 10 days with the help of the talisman. As a result, the two people waiting outside the valley would definitely not be able to anticipate this situation, and thus miss the opportunity. By that time, Fang Lang had already taken all the pills, so fighting one against two was not a problem at all. He even had a plan to kill Qing Yuanzi and Yang Origenzi after pill refining was completed and take away all their wealth. How should I put it? It's just that simple. Everyone is just scheming against each other and harming each other. It's almost done. Today is the last day, the pill will be ready soon. At this moment, Fang Lang's face was filled with madness, and the fanaticism in his eyes was so hot that it could melt the sun. It feels like Ultraman has been imprisoned for 10,000 years. Not long after being released, he immediately encounters a little monster. Naturally, his beastly nature is aroused, and he quickly beats it up to satisfy his craving. Only, things are unpredictable. When Fang Lang and the twins were scheming against each other, they ignored a little ant, Duan Ming, who was inside the alchemy furnace. In the eyes of Foundation building, Duan Ming of Qi refining stage is naturally an ant, not worthy of attention and without any killing power, but 1,000-mile dam is destroyed by an ant hole. Even an ant can sometimes be able to defying the heavens and changing fate. At this moment, the situation inside the alchemy furnace was also extremely dangerous. The unlucky Duan Ming encountered a situation that had never happened in the simulation. Of course, to be precise, each simulation is equivalent to something that happens on a timeline. The reason why it is not encountered is simply because the number of simulations is not enough. No matter what, Duan Ming has now recondensed his body and become a rare genius with 6 spirit roots. However, his situation was not comfortable at all. He had a splitting headache and was completely collapsed. The reason for this situation is that the 4-in-1 method was used excessively, causing serious mental damage. However, things are not that simple. At that moment, an echo kept ringing in Duan Ming's mind, like a thunderclap, shocking his mind again and again. Rough and ancient body. Rough and ancient body. Rough and ancient body. These three simple words, repeated over and over, tore at Duan Ming's mind, nearly bringing him to the brink of collapse. Why this happened, he didn't know. He didn't know what the ancient body was. He only knew that if the sound didn't stop, he would really die. Chapter 114 Freshly released Duan Ming, it's done. It'll be done soon. As time went by, Fang Lang became more and more excited, as if he had already seen himself accomplishing his mission and dominating the world. At this moment, there is only one step left to successfully refine the elixir. He was seen using all his strength to turn around true qi and pour it into the alchemy furnace frantically, like a rich second generation spending money on alcohol, with no intention of being frugal at all. However, at such a critical moment, an accident suddenly occurred. With the violent infusion of true qi, the alchemy furnace began to vibrate violently, and after a click sound, a tiny crack appeared. Although the crack was small, it was fatal enough. It instantly frightened Fang Lang into a cold sweat, and he quickly used true qi to fill the crack. However, things often don't go as planned, especially when there is an ant in the furnace causing trouble. One crack could still be filled, but when the second and third cracks appeared in succession, Fang Lang could no longer hold it in and couldn't help but curse. Damn profiteer, he actually sold me a fake alchemy furnace. Fang Lang didn't know the truth of the matter. He could never have imagined that Duan Ming was still alive, so his first reaction was that there was something wrong with the alchemy furnace itself. But no matter what the reason was, he couldn't be distracted at the moment, nor could he stop his actions. He could only bite the bullet and try his best to remedy the situation. No, is my plan, which I have been planning for many years, going to fail because of a fake? No way. The sound was almost a roar, and it was obvious that Fang Lang was still so angry that he was about to go crazy. Come to think of it, this situation is like trying to bargain aggressively, but still failing to get the product after bargaining for $60,000, which makes one's blood pressure rise. Unfortunately, Duan Ming is not Pinduoduo, but he is more brutal than Pinduoduo. He seemed to be teasing Fang Lang on purpose, and the cracks he created were one after another, almost covering the entire furnace. But the most speechless thing is, even though there are countless cracks, the furnace will not explode and can still operate normally. I just want to play but I can't come out. It's extremely tortuous. In this way, Fang Lang was anxious, busying around, exhausted, and finally managed to hold on for the last 3 minutes. At this point, with the sound of thunder, the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill was successfully refined. Fang Lang collapsed on the ground, breathing heavily and laughing loudly. Ha 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 ha, that was a close call, that was a close call. The other side. As Dan Yang successfully refined the elixir, Qing Yuanzi and Yang Originzi outside the valley suffered a great misfortune. Above the sky, dark clouds gathered, thunder rumbled, and countless lightning bolts fell from the sky, striking the earth. The two men exclaimed that they had never seen such a scene before. They were so scared that their scalps went numb and they ran away as fast as they could. Is this because the elixir has been successfully refined? Thunder tribulation actually happened. Who can withstand this? What should we do? There's no way we can break through such a dense thunder tribulation. Wouldn't that mean Fang Lang will get away with it for nothing? It's all in vain, it's all in vain, I'm so angry. The two men cursed and swore, but did not slow down at all, and did not dare to look back at all. After all, it was thunder tribulation, a treatment only available to those who had reached the gold core stage. Naturally, the two small foundation buildings were frightened and fled at high speed. Even if they are unwilling, even if they want to snatch the elixir, the premise of everything is to save their lives. Once life is gone, everything else will return to dust and will no longer have any meaning. Taniuchi, underground pill refining room. Fang Lang felt the blast of lightning, but mistakenly thought that it was Qing Yuanzi and Yang Originzi who came to attack him. These two old immortals actually took action in advance. They must have seen through my tactics. Unfortunately, they were still a step too late. Fang Lang climbed up with difficulty, and walked towards the alchemy furnace despite his fatigue. At this moment, his hands were shaking and his heart was excited. His years of hard work had finally paid off and he was in a state of madness. With the utmost piety, he carefully picked up the stove cover and slowly opened it. Fang Lang stood on tiptoe like a young girl, looking into the furnace with anticipation. The next second, he was stunned, his eyes widened, and his brain short-circuited. How to put it? It's like a young girl didn't wait for the kiss of the Prince Charming, but instead saw a pitch-black smiling face. That smile was mean and funny, revealing a sense of mockery. Master, Why don't you laugh? Keep laughing. There is no need to guess, the person inside the alchemy furnace is undoubtedly Duan Ming. At this moment, he was naked, looking at Fang Lang with a sunny smile, looking harmless and really deserving of a beating. However, the next second, as soon as he finished speaking, Duan Ming suddenly jumped up and punched Fang Lang hard on the face. In an instant, Fang Lang, who was hit hard, flew backwards with blood all over his face. However, he himself still did not react at all, as if he had been given anesthesia. He was still in a daze, and only kept muttering, "Impossible. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Nothing is impossible, master. Seeing is believing. Is there anything you don't believe?" Duan Ming climbed out of the alchemy furnace. He did not rush to find trouble with Fang Lang. Instead, he walked to the table, took back his storage bag, changed his clothes, and was no longer naked. After waiting for everything to be processed, he turned around and said to Fang Lang, "Thank you, master, for helping me with the foundation building and helping me change my physique to obtain the 6-element spirit root." That's right, at this moment Duan Ming has already broken through the foundation building, integrated the 6 types of spirit root, and also has an ancient body, whose meaning is unknown. All in all, getting 3 trophies in one adventure is a very rewarding experience. Facing Duan Ming's ridicule, Fang Lang was still in a state of confusion. He had no aura of a big boss at all and looked like a wounded little beast. But it is understandable that if anyone were to spend their entire life planning something and then something unexpected happened at the last minute, how would they accept it and how would they recover? Even Fang Lang, who was ruthless, couldn't stand it. It seemed as if his life was dark and there was no hope at all. Since the master has lost all hope, as his disciple, I will reluctantly send you off. Seeing the ultimate boss Fang Lang looking like he was at the mercy of others, Duan Ming couldn't help but lose interest. He thought that there would definitely be a big battle after it came out, and it would take at least dozens of rounds before Fang Lang could be killed. However, the world is unpredictable. The ultimate boss's defense was broken, his mentality collapsed, and he had no power to resist at all. Helpless, Duan Ming was too lazy to waste any more time, so he took out the corpse chopping and started practicing his skills. "You taught me the maggot fly corpse sea sword. Now I use it to kill you, it's quite suitable." After saying that, Duan Ming thrust hard and went straight towards Fang Lang. According to common sense, in a few seconds, Fang Lang would be corroded, his flesh and blood would completely necrotize, and he would die. And yet, 10 seconds passed. Fang Lang was fine and was still staring at Duan Ming blankly. Duan Ming was fine too, he was still swaying his sword in a daze. The two people were like idiots. No one knew what had happened and neither of them could accept the reality. Duan Ming, in particular, had his eyes wide open. He first looked at Fang Lang who was fine, then looked at the sword in his hand, at a loss. Where is this technique? Why can't I use it? Chapter 115. Master, times have changed, what's going on? Why can't I use my skills? Accidents happened one after another. First Fang Lang suffered, and now it was Duan Ming's turn to be confused. While inside the alchemy furnace, he could not use any of his skills, such as the maggot and fly corpse sea sword, the golden light sword, etc. At first he thought it was because of the refining process and he was unable to perform his martial arts. But now the refining has ended, and the others have come out of the furnace, but they are still unable to perform their skills. For a moment, Duan Ming was naturally confused and couldn't understand the situation. However, while he was stunned, Fang Lang finally came to his senses and looked at Duan Ming with hatred, as if he wanted to cut him into pieces. "You wolf cub, you actually ruined my plan." Fang Lang is at the 3rd stage of foundation building. The aura he exudes is enough to suppress most cultivators. At this moment, he was full of murderous intent. For a moment, even the space seemed distorted and blurred. "Give me your life." There was no nonsense. Fang Lang, who was already in a crazy state, acted completely on instinct and only wanted to kill Duan Ming. He just turned his wrist, and a cold sword appeared out of thin air, and then a foul smell filled the whole place. Duan Ming was naturally very familiar with this smell, as it was Fang Lang's famous skill, the maggot fly corpse sea sword. However, the skills displayed by Fang Lang himself were obviously many levels stronger than Duan Ming's. Not only does it create a foul-smelling wind, it is also mixed with a lot of scarlet mosquitoes and flies, which look like they are not easy to deal with. Soon, this foul-smelling wind mixed with buzzing mosquitoes rushed towards Duan Ming like crazy, without any mercy. If you are unlucky enough to be hit, there is no doubt that you will turn into a pool of blood and die completely. In a hurry, Duan Ming dodged quickly and activated the golden sword shadow at the same time, hoping to avoid the fatal blow. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned and the plan still failed. It was as if the heavens were playing a huge joke on him, allowing him to succeed in foundation building, obtain 6 spirit roots, and even have an ancient body, but simply not allowing him to practice his skills. Duan Ming didn't understand why, and he didn't even have time to think about why it was like this. Seeing the foul wind getting closer and closer and having nowhere to hide, he subconsciously stretched out his hands and covered his chest. This is the most helpless move. There is really no other way. The defensive effect is basically zero, which is no different from waiting to die. Unfortunately, he had no choice. Without being able to use any skills, he would be a waste and would never be able to defeat Fang Lang. However, a miracle happened. Duan Ming just subconsciously blocked it with his hand, and a flame suddenly rose up and turned into a wall of fire, surrounding him tightly. The next second, the foul-smelling wind and the scarlet mosquitoes were all blocked by the burning flames. However, the wind was relatively strong, and it still penetrated the flames and headed straight for Duan Ming, but the speed was much slower, allowing him to easily dodge it. This X2 the sudden scene made both Duan Ming and Fang Lang puzzled. Neither of them understood what was going on. After a while, Fang Lang was the first to react, but his face was extremely gloomy. My chance was taken away by you just like that. Hearing this, Duan Ming also understood. Although it was just a short sentence, it was enough for him to understand the information behind it. In his opinion, the reason why he couldn't perform his skills was most likely related to the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill. At the same time, his ability to control fire should also be related to the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill. If my guess is correct, Duan Ming at this moment can not only control fire, but to be precise, he can control the 5 elements. Thinking of this, Duan Ming immediately tried it. His mind instantly emerged, the combo skills performed by Wu De and Ji Wuming. There was no discomfort. His mind followed his thoughts. With just a thought, true qi started to circulate in his body, and then instantly turned into the appearance that Duan Ming wanted. In an instant, countless tree roots emerged from the mud and lashed towards Fang Lang like long whips. Sure enough, wood-based magic. This was the first time that Duan Ming experienced the usefulness of the 5 elements spirit root. He was able to suppress Fang Lang when he first entered the foundation building. Without hesitation, he tried again. In the blink of an eye, the flames rose again and wrapped around the tree roots. The original wooden whip instantly transformed into a flaming whip, whipping Fang Lang again and again. If the opponent had not used defensive skills and put up a huge black shield in front of him to block the attack, he would have been beaten to pieces by now. My chance, damn it. Fang Lang, who was beaten unilaterally, was very angry. He could see how powerful Duan Ming was. Although he was only at the foundation building stage and had just completed a breakthrough, the skills he displayed were extremely domineering. It was almost equivalent to a full-strength attack in the early stages of foundation building, and each lash had the same powerful effect, beating him so hard that he struggled to hold on. In addition, there were 7 or 8 fire whips, which made it feel like being besieged by 7 or 8 foundation building monks. What is this? Kill enemies across levels without any effort. Because of this, the stronger Duan Ming appeared, the more angry Fang Lang became. After all this was supposed to be his opportunity. Unfortunately, at this point, he had no way of taking it back and could only become furious and go crazy. And the current situation didn't allow him to think too much. While being whipped by the fire whip and struggling to hold on, a sharp rock pillar suddenly emerged from under his feet and almost pierced through him. Needless to say, it was Duan Ming's work again. He was imitating the moves used by his 5 uncles and performing them on Fang Lang one by one. At this moment, he had transformed into a silver spear and looked at the miserable Fang Lang with excitement. Grandmaster, you didn't expect this day to come, did you? All your disciples' moves were used on you. How does it feel? After saying that, Duan Ming rushed forward with his spear like a dragon and stabbed it hard on the huge black shield. Boom! With the power of the blow, the huge black shield dissipated. The powerful impact also knocked Fang Lang out, like an inconspicuous fly, hitting the rock wall hard and slowly sliding down. It's incredible and hard for anyone to understand. Even if Duan Ming can control the 5 elements, he can never be stronger than Fang Lang in terms of strength. But the fact is, he won and shot Fang Lang away with one shot. Duan Ming himself had not yet realized the subtlety of this, but the experienced Fang Lang had sensed the breath of death. Why is the body so overbearing? Could it be that the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill also has the effect of changing the body's constitution? Fang Lang murmured quietly, but his voice was not loud enough for Duan Ming to hear. At this moment, he had already begun to think about retreating. After all, he could not win in a fight of magic or in hand-to-hand combat. If he continued fighting, he would die sooner or later. Unfortunately, just as he had this thought, Duan Ming was having fun. Or to be more precise, it should be said that they were having a lot of fun. Suddenly, he transformed into a weapon that Fang Lang had never seen before. Then the sound of da 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 was heard. Immediately afterwards, countless iron bullets wrapped in flames attacked. Fang Lang's entire body was covered in an instant, leaving him no chance of escape. Ha 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 ha, try my Gatling machine gun and feel the love of modern weapons. Yes, that's right. Duan Ming is having a blast. He actually used the golden spirit root to transform into a modern firearm and fired at Fang Lang, with blue flames emitting from the gun. Who can stand this? Chapter 116. Xiaoyaoju. What will happen to the world if humans lose their imagination? This is a very philosophical question and there is no standard answer. But at this moment, Fang Lang personally felt the importance of imagination. He had never seen a machine gun, and could not imagine what a Gatling gun looked like, but he was still sprayed with gunfire and cried out in pain. This is the advantage from Transmigrator, unparalleled imagination, crushing level. This also resulted in the already powerful 5 elements spirit root being played out to great effect in Duan Ming's hands. Master, times have changed. How powerful is the machine gun? Is it exciting? Da da da. The machine gun kept firing, and Duan Ming could control the 5 elements smoothly like breathing, and beat Fang Lang so hard that he couldn't even raise his head. All in all, this situation doesn't look like a fight at all. There is not a trace of immortal chi at all. It's very embarrassing. But who says science can't be used in cultivating immortals? Anyway, Duan Ming thinks it's okay and there's no problem at all. If you don't believe it, just go ask the Gatling machine gun in his hand, and let it explode. Boom! Just as Duan Ming was about to fly up, a bolt of lightning suddenly struck the ground, exploding with a large flame. This was the thunder tribulation induced by the impact on the foundation building. It was so powerful that it directly blew out the pill refining room buried deep underground. Of course, the power of this thunder tribulation is definitely not as strong as when it impacts the gold core period, otherwise the entire area would be destroyed with just one strike. Seeing this situation, both Duan Ming and Fang Lang were stunned. Not Qing Yuanzi and Yang Originzi. How did thunder tribulation survive? Isn't that how the simulation process works? For a moment, both of them were surprised. Needless to say, Fang Lang had misunderstood the matter from the beginning and did not know the truth. But Duan Ming was very depressed, because during these 3 months, he had clearly simulated a successful ending, and thunder tribulation did not occur. Simply put, as long as you advance through refining, you will not trigger thunder tribulation. It is almost like you have died once, so you don't need to endure the wrath of heaven and earth again. However, the fact is, thunder tribulation arrived as expected. Arakawatai. This time, Duan Ming didn't think it was because of his bad luck. He didn't believe the system would deceive him. After all, there was no motive. In addition, a situation that had never appeared before in the simulation process occurred. The ancient body. Therefore, judging by the principle that everything has its own cause, we soon realized that this thunder tribulation was not caused by the impact on the foundation building, but was likely related to the ancient body. However, he didn't have time to think too much at this moment. Facing the ferocious thunder tribulation, he could only try his best to resist and get through this stage first. The next second, before Duan Ming could make any move, 3 bolts of lightning struck from the sky, as if to turn him into ashes. In a panic, Duan Ming quickly activated the 5 elements spirit root and built 5 lines of defense for himself, using gold, wood, water, fire and earth. All at once. Boom. God is still God, he is the most awesome after all. In just a moment, 3 lightning bolts seemed to come into the empty space, directly breaking through the 5 lines of defense and exploding with a bang. Even though Duan Ming had tried his best, he still failed to defend himself. His entire body was immersed in thunder tribulation and he was truly numb. Fortunately, his life was saved, at least he didn't die. However, the price he paid was that he lost an eye and an arm, which were disabled. Of course, he is not the most unlucky one. The real unlucky guy should be Fang Lang. The thunder tribulation was not aimed at him, but unfortunately he was affected. He was electrocuted to the point of convulsions all over and foaming at the mouth, and it seemed that he was about to collapse. And at the last moment, his eyes were full of disbelief, as if he was questioning the thunder tribulation, and as if he was questioning why Duan Ming was not killed in the explosion. Yes, according to common sense, Duan Ming should be dead at this moment. 3 thunder tribulations descended at the same time and hit the same person. There was absolutely no possibility of survival. But Duan Ming survived, although his condition was horrible, with his arms and eyes missing. But no matter what, it cannot be denied that he survived and held on. This is incredible. At least since ancient times, such an incredible thing has never happened in the immortal cultivation world. At this moment, Duan Ming's condition was extremely bad, and he fell to his knees on the ground in pain. However, he was not only physically injured, but also mentally traumatized. At the moment of being struck by thunder tribulation, the ancient sound from before exploded in my mind again, repeating those 3 words over and over again. Ancient body, what the hell are you? Duan Ming had a splitting headache, so severe that he even ignored the physical pain. Perhaps it was instinct, perhaps it was subconscious, or perhaps it was the pull of some mysterious force that made him start to practice the 4-in-1 method without realizing it. The next second, his body began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. The missing arm grew back and the missing eye was restored to its original state. Dead human flesh and raw bones are particularly outrageous. At the same time, thunder tribulation came again, and the same 3 lightning bolts accurately hit Duan Ming. Once again, Duan Ming was seriously injured and covered in blood. However, it failed to blow off his limbs, as if his body was instantly strengthened and became more difficult to destroy. Faced with such a dangerous disaster, Duan Ming was stunned. He kept covering his head with his hands, his eyes were confused, and he looked like he was ready to be slaughtered. In fact, it's not that he doesn't want to move, but that he can't move. The powerful mental shock made him unable to control his body, and the voice continued, roaring. Only after the second thunder tribulation did the original 3 words become 5 words. Ancient form, divine ability. This was all Duan Ming heard. He didn't understand why, but he had a feeling that it seemed to change his fate. Immediately afterwards, the 3rd bombardment came, this time with 6 lightning bolts, exactly twice as many as before. Likewise, without surprise, it hit Duan Ming with precision, directly overturning the entire pill refining room. After a loud bang, smoke and dust filled the sky. Only Duan Ming, emitting golden light, stood in the center of the pit. He didn't suffer any damage and managed to endure it. He faced the 6 paths of thunder tribulation without shedding even a drop of blood. But he kept muttering something. Xiaoyao Ju, 4 methods combined into 1. Xiaoyao Ju, divine ability, the immortal demon, divine ability. Yes, at this moment Duan Ming finally understood, and through the ancient sounds, he gradually understood everything. The so-called 4-in-1 method is actually Xiaoyao Ju, a martial arts method whose grade and true origin are unknown. In short, there is no need for a 5th secret book. These 4 are all you need, and what you need to practice is to work them together, using 4 things at the same time. However, before the breakthrough, the 4 methods in one can only strengthen the physical constitution, which is almost equivalent to the martial Dao body refining technique. However, when one reaches the 1st level and successfully breaks through the bottleneck, it will trigger thunder tribulation, and under the jealousy of the gods, it will become an ancient body. At the same time, the special effect brought by this physique is realizing divine ability. And what Duan Ming comprehended was the 100 refinements of the immortal demon. A divine ability that can revive dead flesh, grow new bones, and quickly heal injuries. It is similar to Zhang Feng's 10-direction demon. Chapter 117 Fang Lang's suicide. Note: the thunder tribulation did not last long. About 3 minutes later, the dark clouds dissipated between the sky and the earth, and the sky became clear again. Just as the rain acquires sunshine, the world becomes beautiful again, as if nothing had ever happened, and the years are peaceful. Of course, all of the above words would make sense if the surroundings were not in such a mess. It's a pity that the area expanding outward with Duan Ming as the center was almost completely bombarded with fire, and was full of potholes everywhere. This was the secret base that Fang Lang had secretly built for many years, with countless defensive formations. However, at this moment, it was all destroyed, just like a husky destroying a house. On the devastated land, Duan Ming radiated a golden light and slowly stood up, still muttering words like divine ability, Xiaoyao Ju, etc. He even had his signature silly smile on his face, which made him look very derpy. like someone who was not very smart. How to say it, the only thing missing from him now is a bald head, so he looks like the reincarnation of Buddha, commonly known as Silly Buddha. But come to think of it, if anyone suddenly got such huge benefits, who wouldn't be so happy that they would be stunned? Duan Ming is a human being with emotions and desires, so he cannot be an exception. Naturally, he was extremely happy. After a long while, he glanced around coldly. Master, it seems that I have the last laugh. After the thunder tribulation, only ruins were left. Fang Lang had been blasted into ashes in the disaster, and no trace of him could be found. Duan Ming originally thought that if he killed the man, he could make use of his body for recycling, but now it seems that this is unrealistic. Not only was he unable to use his skills, but even the materials were destroyed in the thunder tribulation, leaving nothing behind. It's a pity. There may be a lot of good things here, but they are all destroyed. Duan Ming walked slowly towards the place where Fang Lang died, as if holding on to the last glimmer of hope, to see if he could discover something and gain some benefit. He didn't know if defying the heavens and changing fate really worked, but this time it actually went as he wished. He actually saw a small black iron box at the place where Fang Lang died. With some doubts, he picked up the small iron box and looked at it carefully. This item should belong to Fang Lang, and it is probably an equipment item that exploded from the storage bag. It's just very strange that such a small iron box actually survived the thunder tribulation, and I don't know what material it is made of. When I opened the iron box, what came into view was a letter that could not be more ordinary. The brown and yellow envelope, the size of a palm, lay quietly in the iron box, well preserved. Duan Ming was naturally very curious about this. What on earth was it that was worth Fang Lang's cherishing and keeping? Without hesitation, he picked up the envelope, opened it and read it carefully. However, just the first glance at it shocked him and he was speechless for a long time. From the wolf cub, if I'm not mistaken, I'm dead now, right? Congratulations, little brat, I didn't expect that the plan that took decades to build would be ruined in your hands. It's worth it for you to show off. Although I am dead, your uncle will always be your uncle. But do you still remember the corpse sea tea you drank? This tea is poisonous, extremely poisonous. I know what you want to say. The corpse puppet helped you detoxify, right? Humph. Do you really think your master is made of clay? How can you not see it? I tell you frankly, the poison still remains in your body, and it is impossible to get rid of it without the help of special elixirs. How about it, are you convinced? Even if I die, I can still deal with you. But when a person dies, it's like a light goes out. What's the point of dragging you to be buried with me? I am not a generous person, but I value profit very much. There is no benefit in poisoning you except venting my anger. This deal is not worth it. Listen carefully, little brat, if you want to detoxify, go and do two things for me, and then all the grudges between you and me will be wiped out. First, go to Wafeng City and find the Wolf's Winery. That is the earthly foundation created by my descendants. They are just a group of ants, but, please take care of them. I know, I understand. If you don't remove the roots of the grass, the spring breeze will blow it back deep. Isn't this true? Instead of taking care of my descendants, it is better to kill them all to prevent them from seeking revenge on you in the future, right? Okay, I agree. Go ahead and kill me. I can't stop you anyway. But is it possible to only kill those with the talent for cultivating immortals and spare those who have no qualifications? Don't rush to refuse. Look carefully at the iron box, which is the box that holds the envelope. This is the life-saving money I leave for future generations. It is absolutely worth it. This is meteoric iron, which I accidentally found in a secret realm many years ago. If used to forge spirit weapons, it can definitely reach profound rank. I believe not many people can afford such a valuable item, which is enough to buy one's life. Of course, you can also just take the benefits, do nothing, and still kill all my descendants. Given your ruthlessness, I believe you can do it. However, without my protection, those playboys will sooner or later be disciplined by others and destroyed, and nothing will be saved. So, I took a gamble. I'm betting all my chips on the least trusted human nature. Just bet on your arrogance, not caring about insignificant ants, and not worrying about their revenge. I'm betting that you will trade fairly, do your job after receiving benefits, and keep your word. If I lose the bet, I will accept my fate. This world is cruel anyway, so it's not surprising to see such an outcome. Of course, no matter what, you have to go to Wolf Winery. Don't take it lightly. If nothing else, the elixir that can dissolve the corpse CT is right there. and it's up to you to do whatever you want with it when the time comes. Second, 60 miles to the east of the Broken Soul sect, near a cliff, are the graves of your 5 uncles. Go and pay your respects there when you have time. Do you think I am hypocritical for killing them and then erecting monuments and building tombs for them? Humph. Humans are not plants or trees, so how can we be heartless? They treat me sincerely, how can I not feel it? I raised them myself and taught them carefully to become successful. I remember every detail. It's a pity that the cruelty of this world prevents me from having any mercy. I have a deep blood feud. If I don't become stronger, I will not be able to take revenge, and I will not be able to maintain peace. So, I don't regret killing them, but I do owe these 5 people a debt, and that cannot be denied. Just treat me as a hypocrite and a false righteous person. Anyway, please help me to pay tribute occasionally. Besides, you should have received their talent by now, right? 5 elements spirit root, tisk tisk tisk, this really makes me envious. Even if it's not for me, you still have to go and worship. After all, you have received all the benefits, so it is natural and reasonable to worship. By the way, don't think about digging graves and refining corpses, I'm on guard against this trick of yours. They are all empty graves, the bodies have been cremated, and I have scattered the ashes. There are no bodies to refine. There are only their relics in the tomb, nothing more, so, don't dig up the graves, do some good deeds. In short, these 2 things are my last wishes. It is up to you whether to do them or not. Finally, there is a secret compartment in the iron box, which contains information about the Blood Fiend 5 Elements pill, all of which I have collected over the years. Take it all, it's all yours. From now on, you will go out and see the world for me, and see how vast and charming this world is. Go ahead and make a scene. Make a huge fuss. It would be best if you disrupt the entire immortal cultivation world so that they can also experience the pain I'm feeling. Ha 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 ha, you wolf cub, you are my disciple after all, you must live longer and make more trouble. Master Fang Lang Chapter 118, Fighting in a Gundam Mecha free and easy, uninhibited, and well planned. After reading the letter, Duan Ming was left with only these feelings. For a moment, he felt that Fang Lang was worthy of being a hero, without any exaggeration. Grandmaster, oh Grandmaster, you are so evil that I almost admire you. If the immortal cultivation world were filled with people like you, it would be really interesting. After thinking carefully for a moment, Duan Ming did not find it difficult to respond to Fang Lang's 2 requests. Paying homage to the 5 uncles is fine, it's just a small thing. After all, in a sense, Duan Ming's rebirth was due to the contributions of his 5 uncles. Although they did not volunteer, their contribution was not reduced at all, so it is reasonable to pay them a visit. As for the second one, it is to take care of Fang Lang's descendants. Duan Ming hesitated a little, and for a moment, he did have the urge to wipe out the roots of the evil. He can be considered cold-blooded, but he is actually more cautious. In his opinion, the variables in the immortal cultivation world are far more than those in modern society, and anything can happen, so it is best to be fully prepared for everything. Forget it, to kill or not to kill, I'm not in a hurry to draw a conclusion. Let's go and take a look at the situation first. We have to get the antidote anyway. Although he said so, anyone could tell that Duan Ming was soft-hearted. If you really want to eradicate the problem completely, you will never hesitate and will be extremely ruthless without even having to think. Therefore, when he said this, Duan Ming had actually let this group of people go in his heart. Maybe she is a sanctimonious BCH, or maybe he still has a conscience as a modern person, or maybe he really doesn't want to attack the weak and only wants to kill the strong. In short, the weak side of Duan Ming's character was revealed at this moment, and it still showed a little bit of conscience. Last wish, Duanjia village, there are so many things to do. Duan Ming murmured to himself that he had now overcome the biggest difficulty and his life was saved. However, the mystery surrounding him has not been completely solved and still needs to be investigated and studied, which means that there are still many things waiting to be dealt with. First, Fang Lang's last wish is not urgent but important. The antidote must be obtained no matter what. He believed that Fang Lang had not lied to him and that there really was some residual poison left in his body. After all, if he lied about this matter, it would basically be equivalent to handing over the lives of his descendants to others. Of course, another possibility cannot be ruled out, that the so-called Wolf's Winery is actually a trap used to kill Duan Ming. In short, no matter what, you have to go and take a look. At worst, you can simulate it before you go. Second, the ancient style. What exactly is this constitution? What is its origin and significance? All of this needs to be investigated thoroughly. After all, he can't use any of his skills now, so he has to find a way to solve it. Third, giving birth to a child from a corpse. At *GZ%*, this is a question that has always troubled Duan Ming. What kind of life experience did the original owner have, and why is it so shrouded in mysteries? In other words, is he a corpse-born child, or is he really rejected by the will of the world? These are all important things that need to be checked out and understood bit by bit after returning to Duanjia village. At least, Duan Ming really doesn't want to continue to be unlucky. It is really too painful. The above three things can be said to be the problems that Duan Ming needs to solve most at present. Fortunately, the journey is not far and he can set off soon. Let's go and pay respect to the 5 uncles first, as a way of making amends to them, lest they won't let me go even after they become ghosts, and then I'll go back to the soul-breaking sect. I believe no one can beat me, so I'll have to rob them first. After that, Wufeng City and Duanjia village are not far from each other, so we can do things together. Do it as soon as you think of it. After making a plan, Duan Ming took action without hesitation. He turned around and shouted to the distance, "How long are you two going to hide? I've been pretending to be stunned for a long time, why don't you just launch a sneak attack? Aren't you too cautious?" As soon as he finished speaking, 2 figures suddenly appeared in the sky. They were the twin brothers, Qing Yuanzi and Yang Originzi. What a trick! The sky-covering veil in my hand is a yellow-ranked high-grade spirit weapon, but it couldn't be hidden from your spiritual sense. Where is your Grandmaster Fang Lang? Why don't you see him? Yang Origin was smiling, but he held the sword in his hand very tightly, and it was obvious that he was not as relaxed and casual as he looked on the surface. Duan Ming didn't say anything about this, he just took out, no. He transformed it into an AK-47, picked up the gun and started firing. Da da da. The roar of gunfire was pleasant to the ears, and the attack method shocked the twins, who were stunned for a moment. Fortunately, they were prepared. Both of them used defensive skills at the same time, and a barrier appeared in front of them, which blocked the impact of the bullet. However, Duan Ming didn't care and continued to shoot, sneering, "I've known for a long time that you two are not good people. Your faces are almost from the same plastic surgery hospital. Now you are acting together, as close as wearing the same pants. I guess you are hiding here to cheat people." After saying that, Duan Ming still felt unsatisfied, and while shooting, he conjured up several Earthmen. This kind of monster is actually equivalent to a clay figure, with mud as the flesh and wood as the skeleton. In short, it is just an ordinary toy. However, these little toys were each holding an AK-47, and they directly surrounded Qing Yuanzi and Yang Originzi, shooting non-stop. At this moment, Duan Ming was extremely powerful. Using the 5-element spirit root to perform magic was basically as easy as breathing. He was also experiencing the treatment of a genius. In general, as long as his spiritual power is sufficient, it is not impossible for him to create a Gundam directly. Just thinking about driving a Gundam mecha to fight is exciting. Of course, Duan Ming was very happy and fought very vigorously, but the twins were unlucky and experienced Fang Lang's pain. What the hell are these? Crossbows. Why? Ah, it hurts. I have lived for most of my life, and I have never seen such a strange weapon, and its power is comparable to a full-strength attack from the early days of Foundation building. What should we do? Fang Lang must have been killed by him. I didn't expect that he would fall into the hands of a little kid. And it seems that we are also. Shit, it hurts. Why did he only attack me? The two of them cursed and swore at each other, which not only broadened their horizons and gained more knowledge, but also allowed them to experience the care of scientific and technological civilization, which made their lives worthwhile. However, the strength of both of them is at the 4th level of Foundation building, which is slightly stronger than Lang. Coupled with their joint cooperation, they will not be forced into a desperate situation. After adapting for a while, they finally got through it, gradually mastered the rhythm of attack, and were ready to counterattack at any time. It's a pity that Duan Ming is such a bad person. How could they get what they want? Before the two men could start to fight back, he increased his strength and transformed into several earthen men, each holding an RPG howitzer. How should I put it? It seems that he intends to use firepower to the end, with science and practice coexisting. The truth is only within the range. Bomb them to death. Chapter 119 Fang Lang's Test. Boom. The deafening sound of bombing continued. Just like the sound of playing poker, with the sound of clapping non-stop. Fortunately, Qing Yuanzi and Yang Originzi both have long hair, looking like immortals, and they don't have twin ponytails, otherwise their attack speed would definitely be increased. After dodging the attack, Qing Yuanzi frowned and sighed, "This kid's method is too weird, it's unheard of, it's better to retreat first." Hearing this, Yang Origin said unhappily, "But what about the elixir? Are we just going to give up? Over the years, we have secretly helped Fang Lang do so many things. Isn't it that all our efforts have been in vain? Where is the elixir? Can't you see the technique he used? Gold, wood, water, fire, earth, all 5 elements. He has already eaten the elixir." Qing Yuanzi had a look of anger, and his face looked as ugly as if he had caught someone cheating in bed. He seldom spoke harsh words to his brothers, but at this moment he was clearly restless and on the verge of exploding. Fortunately, my qi nurturing skills from many years are still there, and I was able to control my emotions and think rationally at the critical moment. In his opinion, it would be unwise to fight Duan Ming now. It's not that we are not sure of winning, but we won't get any benefits even if we win. If we can win by crushing the opponent, then of course there is nothing to say. We will definitely make the move immediately without any hesitation. But judging from the current situation, if you want to win, you must pay a price. Serious injuries, disability, or all possible things. Therefore, a life and death fight that has no benefit at all, other than venting their dissatisfaction, has no benefit for either of them. Therefore, there is no need to continue this battle at all. The best strategy is to stop the loss in time. After being scolded, Yang Origin calmed down and quickly realized the pros and cons, but his face was full of resentment. "Damn it, if we take the elixir, we will definitely reach a higher level, this kid really deserves to die." This time Qing Yuanzi did not reprimand his brother, but nodded and said, "No matter how much he deserves to die, now is not a good time to fight. We don't have the first strike advantage, and the opponent's methods are so strange. In the case of insufficient intelligence, it is better to retreat first." After saying that, he took the first step, first removing the barrier and no longer defending, then he raised his hand and black smoke billowed, and a strong murderous aura emanated from his whole body. Then, the evil spirit formed a giant nearly 5 meters tall, who raised his foot and stepped towards Duan Ming. Seeing this situation, Duan Ming naturally could not remain indifferent. He retreated repeatedly and was forced to retreat. Although he could no longer use his martial arts skills, his body speed did not slow down at all. Of course, all this also relied on the opponent, mainly because the giant itself was relatively slow, which allowed Duan Ming to dodge it smoothly. Although Duan Ming avoided the attack, none of the earth monsters he created were spared and were all stepped on by the giant. However, the giant was not a physical entity but was created by evil spirits. Therefore, the earth monster was not crushed, but rotted all over and died bit by bit. It looked very similar to the maggot, fly and corpse sea sword. As expected of Demon Dao, their techniques are extremely similar, and they both like to play dirty. Although his younger brother was defeated, Duan Ming did not feel much. After all, for him, with his abundant spiritual power, he can create thousands of small monsters like this without worrying about consumption. However, before he could take any action and continue to create minions to join the battlefield, Yang Origin on the other side took the first step. Suddenly, he flew on the sword into the air, and then made extremely complicated gestures with his hands. Then, his whole body began to radiate golden light. In an instant, the sky was filled with sword rain, and countless golden swords condensed from his body, pointing directly at Duan Ming. Duan Ming was naturally familiar with this. This move was the golden sword hidden sword, and it was extremely powerful. Helplessly, facing this move, Duan Ming, who had lost the ability to use his martial arts, could only choose to temporarily avoid the attack and dared not fight head-on. He quickly used the 5 elements technique to build several barriers for himself and dared not launch any further attacks. However, at this moment, Qing Yuanzi and Yang Originzi looked at each other, and then attacked Duan Ming with the golden sword, and they immediately fled on the sword without any delay. Seeing this scene, Duan Ming did not feel much. He neither chose to chase nor to stop. After all, he still needed to resist the golden swords flying all over the sky. At the same time, he also knew that he could not take down the 2 of them easily, and a tough battle was inevitable. Therefore, if the other party wanted to escape, he had no reason to keep them, and in the end he just watched the twins go away without taking any action. One day later, the Broken Soul sect was sent 60 miles to the east, near a cliff. 5 simple graves are neatly laid out together, like a gathering of old friends, who want to reunite even after death. Duan Ming came here alone according to Fang Lang's last words. He took a quick look around and saw the familiar names on the tombstones, feeling a little complicated. Just like the song goes. We kill people, hey. We go to their graves. In short, this feeling is particularly awkward, a weird feeling that is hard to describe. After taking a quick look around, Duan Ming discovered that in addition to the 5 tombs, there was also a warning stone tablet, on which it was written that anyone who visited the tombs and paid homage should kowtow 3 times as a sign of respect. There is no need to guess, the stone tablet must have been made by Fang Lang, but it is not known whether he himself abided by this rule. Looking at the stone tablet, Duan Ming couldn't help but sneer. Fang Lang's temper is really overbearing. He is clearly targeting me. He just wants to express that even if he dies, he can still make me kneel down. In Duan Ming's opinion, Fang Lang's move was undoubtedly superfluous and was of no use other than causing trouble. Moreover, with Fang Lang's own personality, it is impossible for him to kneel down to his disciple, and he himself is unlikely to abide by the rules, but he insists that Duan Ming do it. If Duan Ming had a worse temper, he would probably not do as he was told and would even smash the stone tablet. After thinking it over, Duan Ming was too lazy to bother with the dead. He walked forward, knelt on both knees, kowtowed 3 times respectfully to the 5 uncles, and said loudly, "It is true that I am sorry for the 5 of you. If you can't even bear this little injustice, you might as well draw your sword and commit suicide." Duan Ming kowtowed, not because of Fang Lang's warning, but because he did it voluntarily. It is true that a mortal cultivation world is cruel, but that does not mean there is no humanity. At least, even someone as ruthless as Duan Ming still has his own bottom line. The person has been killed, so what's the big deal if you offer sacrifices and kowtow a few times? There's no need to be so petty. However, the moment Duan Ming kowtowed, the warning stone tablet suddenly vibrated violently and shook continuously. After about half a minute, the stone tablet was covered with cracks, causing small pieces of stone to fall off and slowly dissipate. Then, Duan Ming could never have imagined that he would see an absolutely unexpected person. Master. As more and more small pieces of gravel fell, the stone tablet was gradually destroyed, and a corpse was actually hidden in it. It was Lin Yuqing. Seeing Lin Yuqing's corpse, Duan Ming reacted, "Grandmaster, oh Grandmaster, you really are a master of all plans." The stone tablet was indeed aimed at Duan Ming, but it was not meant to disgust him. To put it bluntly, this was a test from Fang Lang, who wanted to know whether Duan Ming still had a shred of conscience. If he had a bad temper and a cruel mentality, and did not do as ordered by the stone tablet, or even smashed the stone tablet, then Lin Yuqing's body would definitely be destroyed. If he still had some respect for the dead and did as he was told, he could have successfully obtained Lin Yuqing's body. In short, Fang Lang may have learned that Duan Ming once swore a blood oath to resurrect Lin Yuqing, so he kept a backup plan to test him. I have to admit that Fang Lang's strategy was more clever. This proves that Duan Ming does have a bottom line, and he will definitely show mercy to his descendants in the future. At the same time, he gave him benefits so that he would not fail to fulfill his blood oath. In short, in this way, many thoughts will inevitably arise in Duan Ming's subconscious mind, such as, "I must act according to Fang Lang's instructions in the future to avoid being tricked." Chapter 120 System Upgrade. After dealing with Lin Yuqing's body, Duan Ming sat on the ground and began to silently plan his future path. Ever since he embarked on the path of cultivating immortals, he has been forced to move forward by others. This is true in Duanjia village and also in the Duanyun sect. Although it has grown rapidly, it has gained a lot of benefits. But he never acted according to his own wishes, and always did things he had to do when faced with life and death pressure. Now that he had broken free from his shackles, Duan Ming was a little uncomfortable. He suddenly lost his sense of purpose and felt empty inside. Just like the Avengers, after going through countless hardships and finally getting what they want, they often become depressed. Of course, we must go back to Duanjia village and visit the winery. He has not forgotten these 2 things, but he is not in a hurry and can put them off for later. At this moment, he was thinking about whether he should return to the Broken Soul sect in the Lingyun sect, and whether his strength was enough to destroy the 2 sects. There are 2 main reasons for this thinking. First, his only 2 friends in this world are still under the control of the organization, and it is reasonable and moral to rescue them. Secondly, the 2 major sects must have a deep foundation and there must be a lot of wealth worth looting, so there is no reason to miss it. On one side is friendship, on the other side is interest. Driven by the double temptation, Duan Ming had to pay attention to this issue. Finally, after much thought, he decided that it was necessary to give it a try. However, before going, to be on the safe side, he planned to do a simulation to predict good or bad luck. The current balance is 0, please recharge before use. Do you want to use the life simulator? Each use consumes 10 simulation points. Note, spirit stone, spirit weapon, pills, talismans, cultivation methods, can all be exchanged for simulation points. The exchange rate is not transparent and not public. All interpretation rights belong to the system. Use them if you like, or don't. If you don't, get out. Duan Ming was stunned and froze for a long time. He had expected that the price would increase after the foundation building, but he never expected it to be so outrageous. You don't want the money anymore. You saved so much money before, and you don't plan to return it. At this moment, Duan Ming wanted to curse 1,000 times in his heart, but he opened his mouth again and again, and in the end, he could only let out a sad sigh. Spirit stone, spirit weapon, elixir, cultivation method, you are making fun of me. Duan Ming had a lot of complaints but couldn't vent them. In his opinion, the system was worse than a beast. It completely treated him as a sucker and slaughtered him mercilessly. Among the above items that can be used for recharge, which one is not urgently needed by cultivators? Almost every one of them is very useful. Not only can they improve your strength, but they can also save your life at critical moments. And the most important thing is that Duan Ming has almost nothing now and is extremely poor. There is a spirit weapon, which was given to me by Feng Lang, but it is the only one. No pills, not a single one. He had never even seen the spirit stone and had no idea what it looked like. As for practicing martial arts, he does have some, but he cannot use them at the moment. Hey Tilda, can I exchange it with my skills? As he was thinking, Duan Ming suddenly realized that he could exchange his skills for simulation points, but he was not sure whether he should do this. What if his physical condition returned to normal one day? Wouldn't it be a waste? And most importantly, he is unable to use his current skills, and he doesn't know if he can continue to learn new skills. If none of these work, then the problem is serious. You can't pull out a machine gun every time you fight, right? That's too unethical. Forget it. Since the system has been upgraded, I have to give it a try no matter what, even if it means losing money. After thinking it over, Duan Ming knew that he could not change the system and could only adapt to it himself, so he thought of trying the Zan Shield Ju first. He knew quite a few martial arts skills, a total of 6, namely, Qingfeng Sword Technique, Juyu Corpse Refining Technique, Maggot and Fly Corpse Sea Sword, Golden Light Sword, Xuandan Ju, and Xiaoyao Ju. Among them, Xiaoyao Ju must not be exchanged and must be retained. After all, it is a new martial art that was born from the integration of 4 methods. It has a mysterious background and great potential for growth. As for other skills, they can all be abandoned, but their importance varies and they have different priorities. Therefore, the Zan Shield technique appears to be extremely eye-catching and is the most useless, and can be used as an experimental product. He did it as soon as he thought of it. Without much hesitation, Duan Ming immediately used the Zan Shield Ju to exchange it. Recharge successful, current balance is 8 simulation points. The funds arrive very quickly, almost within seconds. It's just like a lending company. It's not afraid that customers won't repay the money, but it's afraid that customers won't borrow money. In short, these companies have plenty of ways to get customers to pay back their money, so the money is deposited into their accounts within seconds, leaving them no chance to even think. Although the service was the same, the only difference was that heart-wrenching number, which made Duan Ming's heart skip a beat. 8 o'clock, exactly 8 o'clock, one simulation isn't enough. Duan Ming had thought that the system would be tricky, but he didn't expect it to be so tricky. After all, it is a yellow rank low-grade skill, but it is only worth a mere 8 simulation points. It is simply a joke. Unfortunately, he had no choice but to retreat and could only accept his fate. Maybe it's because of unwillingness or emotionality. In desperation, he recharged the Qingfeng Sword Technique once again. In short, Duan Ming was determined to get 10 simulation points no matter what, otherwise he would feel like he was losing a lot of money. Recharge successful, current balance is 9 simulation points. As the system prompt ended, Duan Ming felt as if he was struck by lightning, and his whole body was electrocuted to a crisp on the outside and tender on the inside. Numb, completely numb. Good, good, good. It's a good way to not be public and transparent. It can be said that the Krypton Gold gameplay has been made clear. 3 consecutive good words all reflect Duan Ming's current mood. It's like a vegetative person who has been paralyzed for many years, running wildly in the heavy rain, shouting why I am a mute. This situation makes people speechless and feel depressed and uncomfortable. Duan Ming finally realized that the system was playing tricks on him without even trying to cover it up. They are both yellow rank techniques, but one is worth 8 points and the other is worth 1 point. The difference is so huge it's outrageous. Are you from the same series as Pinduoduo? The kind that couldn't even cut 60,000 knives? If I continue to top up, will I get a balance of 9.1? Duan Ming was so angry that he cursed, but he was helpless. He had no way to deal with the system at all, and in the end he could only sigh silently. Am I cultivating immortality, or am I just being a provider? Faced with the unreasonable behavior of the system, Duan Ming just felt that he was just a worker, working hard and risking his life just to make the system live a happy life. And he himself was just dealt with a few trivial things, without any human rights at all, and had no power to fight back.